Am I the asshole for feeling suspicious after finding condoms in my boyfriend's toiletry bag? This morning, I was helping my 25 boyfriend, 23, get ready for work. He asked me to grab his toothbrush and toothpaste out of his toiletry bag. He has one of those electric toothbrushes with the detachable head and I couldn't find the head. So I opened up another pocket to look for it. I found condoms, a lot of them. He was given this toiletry bag for Christmas before he left on a 3-month trip to visit family in Europe. He acted surprised, like he didn't know they were in there and took them out immediately. He acted like he didn't know that pocket existed. I'd give him the benefit of the doubt, but at some point these condoms were packed in his bag over the past 6 months. We've been together for 2 years. The worst part is they're latex condoms. I'm allergic to latex. We only use non-latex condoms, in addition to my birth control. AIO for feeling suspicious about this. I feel like I'm going crazy. Update, I've seen the comments and I'm kind of freaking out. I'm messaging my therapist right now to figure out the best path forward. I was there at Christmas when he was given the bag. It was at his best friend's family house, so part of me is hoping that his best friend put them in there not knowing I'm allergic to latex. We haven't been intimate as much lately. Maybe once in the past 2 months. I've been really scared that he's not attracted to me anymore, because that's what most people say on here is the reason for someone's sex drive changing so drastically. He asked to move in with me when he came back from his trip and I said yes, so now I feel really trapped, like what if he's been cheating this whole time he's been living with me? He shares his location, but that doesn't really mean anything. I'm here all the time. I've seen the stories of how people cheat even when sharing their location. I wish I hadn't seen anything and I don't know anything he could say to make me feel more secure. Someone said I shouldn't have asked so I could snoop and find out for sure, but I don't want to have to snoop through my partner's belongings to find proof of them cheating on me. A relationship without trust is dead. We're supposed to talk later and I'll update afterwards. Everyone is so sure he's cheating and I really hope he's not, because I don't think I'll be able to handle it if he is. I'm already struggling with my mental health as is. Additional information from OP on why she was in therapy. OP, I'm in therapy because I have CPTSD. I am a survivor of attempted murder at the hands of my biological father, sexual assault and abuse. I am in therapy because my diagnosis is something I will have to live with for the remainder of my life, because I have experienced severe trauma, and because I have no intention of letting it ruin my life and relationships with those I love. I'm also not the one turning down sex. I'm the one that's been attempting to initiate. I messaged my therapist because I have a tendency to push people away to protect myself as a result of my history with abuse. My therapist warned me at the start of this current relationship about self-sabotage and reading too much into things. I texted her because I was unsure of whether or not I'm overreacting, because sometimes, like any other human, I need advice. I came on here while I was waiting for her to respond. I don't expect people on Reddit to be informed on the details of my life and relationship to be able to have the full picture. Thank you for the diagnosis, assumptions, and empathy. Update 1. I definitely was not expecting to see over 1,000 comments on my post. This update is long to address everyone's concerns in the previous post. Thank you to the people who sent me kind messages to check on me. I'm not sure what the people who sent me messages trying to fuck me were expecting aside from getting blocked. That being said, I did have a conversation with my boyfriend last night. I was always planning on having an in-depth conversation about what I had found, but there was nothing I could do about it while he was at work. I texted my therapist because I could tell I was starting to spiral, and posted on here while I was waiting for her response, which I think was a mistake, if I'm being honest. Although the majority of the comments were supportive, it's impossible for y'all to have as full of a picture as my therapist does, and I should have just waited for her to respond to me instead of coming on here. The massive amount of comments was very overwhelming. However, I do think that posting did help me feel more secure in thinking it was suspicious and enabled me to be more assertive when we talked. I appreciate all the comments telling me I was not overreacting. He never said I was, but his nonchalant response certainly made me feel that way. I appreciate the thought-out comments encouraging me to have a conversation with him and giving me genuine advice for it. The second conversation went better. I didn't accuse him of anything. I pretty much just said that finding non-latex condoms in addition to the lack of intimacy I'd been receiving was making me feel confused and upset. I asked him where the condoms came from. His older brother gave them to him while he was in Europe. To prevent confusion, I'm going to use fake names from here on out. My boyfriend is Theo. His oldest brother is Alvin. His other brother is Simon. Yes, like the Chipmunks. I couldn't think of other names for 3 brothers. Sorry. Theo hadn't met his mother's side of the family, including his mother, grandmother, aunt and older siblings, until his trip. The entire purpose was to get to know his family. He spent half with his aunt, grandma, brothers, and cousin in Spain. The other half of the trip he spent with his mother in the middle of nowhere in Portugal, helping her open a kiosk. It was not a sightseeing trip. He didn't get to see any big monuments or go to major cities. I was not able to come because I'm in school and work full time, and it wasn't worth it for me to just come for a week during the spring break. I also thought it was important for him to enjoy his one-on-one time with his mom, since he was separated from her when he was an infant. His brothers are very different people. Simon seems well adjusted with a long-term girlfriend. He spent a lot of time with Simon and his girlfriend, who was the only one there fluent in English and helped him translate when his Spanish fell short. His oldest brother, the 30-year-old who gave him the condoms, Alvin, has been in and out of prison for a majority of his life. I guess Spain has some weird laws around squatting, so whenever he gets out of prison the dude just claims abandoned property and fixes it up to live in, because I guess the government would have to provide him housing if they kicked him out. Anyways, while Theo was on the trip, he called and texted me every day. He told me about Alvin obnoxiously catcalling girls when they'd all walk down the street, and how Alvin had tried to get both him and Simon to go to an orgy with him despite both of them having girlfriends. Theo was very clear about having a girlfriend. He carries around a picture of me in his wallet, and his aunt said he talked about me a lot while he was there. Despite this, Alvin was very pushy with him about how he should be fucking a bunch of women while he was there and having fun. I remember this from when Theo was there. He found it really annoying. So did Simon. I guess during one of those conversations, Alvin straight up gave Theo a bunch of condoms to use to cheat on me. Side note, I counted them based on a comment someone left about how many are typically in a pack. They're all still there, I think. There's 8. I don't know how many come in the packs in Spain. Theo hid them in his bag. He said he would have left them there, but his aunt cleaned his room regularly and he didn't want the drama of his other family members seeing. Once he got back, he forgot they were in there. He only uses his toiletry bag when he goes to the gym. We went out together with our friends Saturday night after his shift and stopped at the gym on the way downtown so he could shower and freshen up. Otherwise, his toothbrush is in our bathroom. He's not living out of a suitcase, he's fully moved in. I do see how some commenters saw the existence of the toiletry bag as a red flag when we lived together. So I wanted to clear that up. I did ask him why he accepted the condoms. He said he had zero intention of using them, and that he accepted them because Alvin wouldn't listen to anything Theo said about me, and that he left him alone after that. Theo didn't even say goodbye to him when he left. He tried to spend as little time with Alvin as possible, despite him constantly inviting both Theo and Simon over to his abandoned house. Simon grew up with Alvin, but still seemed pretty content about avoiding him when I asked about it while Theo was there. I guess he's just not a good person, so the rest of the family avoids him when possible. So that's it. My boyfriend didn't cheat on me. The condoms came from his older brother. I believe him. He was very straightforward with his answers, and was more concerned with my well-being when he came home and saw how upset I was. He wasn't defensive at all. He listened to me without interrupting. He told me he loves me and that he has zero desire to cheat on me. He also works 2 jobs, shares his location, and usually is at home if he's not at work or the occasional gym visit. He doesn't have the time to see other women, and if he does have spare time, he spends it with me or his friends, who are also my friends. He does have friends separate from our friend group at work, but he invites me to come along when they've gone out or asks me to join them when they play Overwatch after work. I love him. I believe him, and I'm moving past this. That doesn't mean I'll let any additional red flags slide if they pop up though. As many of you said, I'm still young and have my whole life ahead of me. If things get worse, I know I'll be okay by myself. I love him and I want him in my life, but my happiness doesn't depend on his presence. I have a therapy session tomorrow, and I've had a lot of time to think. In hindsight, I think what made me spiral the most was that if he really did cheat on me, I'd be living with a stranger. I've had so much trust built up towards him, so I view him as this person who would never hurt me intentionally or yell at me or cheat on me. If he was capable of cheating on me, he could be capable of those other things too. That was really scary to think about and made me spiral. The massive amount of comments where everyone was so convinced he was a terrible person and that I'd been fooled also did not help. I felt like I had no idea how he would react towards me if it was true, and I was very, very scared. As soon as he came home, I felt very silly for feeling that way. He's nothing like my ex. He's never given me a reason to be afraid of him. I shouldn't have let comments on the internet freak me out so bad, and I definitely need to take some time away from Reddit. I hope I addressed all the questions, concerns in the comments. Thank you for all your help. Thank you for listening. For the commenters who had questions regarding our sex life and relationship in general. When he first came back from his trip and moved in, things were normal and we both had high sex drives. Things started slowing down pretty drastically over the past couple of months. We've talked about it prior to me finding the condoms. We both acknowledge that it's an issue and that we're at an age where our sexual activity should be at its peak. He says he doesn't know what's wrong. He's embarrassed because he's attracted to me and doesn't understand how he can have a gorgeous girlfriend and lose his sex drive. His words, not mine. He has an appointment next week to get his hormones checked and has been looking into getting a therapist of his own in case the issue is mental and not physical. It's still difficult to not feel insecure when I try initiating and he's not in the mood, but he still makes an effort to show affection in other ways. Our current level of intimacy isn't ideal, but I don't think it's a lost cause as long as we're working towards a solution together. We have date nights every week. I'm very supportive of him spending time with his friends and he does the same for me. We live together, but no one is clingy or codependent. We do check in with each other to see how we're feeling about the living situation since it is somewhat new and we're still figuring out how to divide and conquer with household tasks. I'm a full-time student and I work full-time. He works 2 jobs. We both contribute equally, and do our best to make time for ourselves and each other despite our busy schedules. I have 14 credits this summer and barely exist outside of work and school, LOL. For the commenters who had some things to say about me having a therapist or mental health issues, I try my best to ensure that I am my main support system. I've been in the position before of being someone's emotional punching bag due to their mental illness, and I would never ever put someone I love in that position. I'm in therapy because I have experienced an extreme amount of trauma and don't want my CPTSD to impact my life and relationships in a negative way. I grew up with a mom with severe anxiety, and most likely undiagnosed PTSD, related to the trauma both of us experienced at the hands of my biological father. She doesn't believe in therapy. I had to call 911 several times as a small child because of her panic attacks. I love my mom, and our relationship has come a long way, but the last thing I would want when I have children is for me to be an unstable parental figure. My usage of therapy doesn't warrant me staying single. My therapist has been very encouraging of this relationship since my boyfriend asked me out 2 years ago. I had gotten out of an incredibly abusive and toxic relationship the year prior, and had zero intention of getting into another serious relationship anytime soon. I was thriving and my therapist thought I was ready, but I told my boyfriend that I needed to focus on myself. We took things slow. He was respectful and patient every step of the way until I was ready. He has never raised his voice at me or even cussed at me. He is a very caring partner. I think his love language is based on quality time and acts of service. He's not great with words, but he tries. He can be a bit emotionally distant at times and not know exactly what to say when I'm upset, but that doesn't prevent him from being there and giving me a hug when I need it. We've been going through a rough patch with our intimacy, and when I was off my meds I felt like he, and everyone else in my life, viewed me as a burden despite him telling me he'd be there for me and for me to just ask for whatever I needed. He's told me many times that he's still attracted to me and that it has nothing to do with me, but when I was feeling low I kind of let my past trauma impact how I felt about myself. Being repeatedly sexually assaulted kind of made me feel like my worth is based on my sexuality, so having a boyfriend who isn't all over me anymore made me feel like there was something wrong with me. Like if I'm trying to initiate and am available and the person who loves me doesn't want it, but someone else was willing to violently take it from me when I didn't want it, what does that say about me? I know that's not rational and I've talked a lot about it in therapy, but it is something that I struggle with sometimes. I posted on here during a low time with my depression because I needed to vent and didn't want to burden anyone I knew with my irrational negativity. Depression is weird, especially after years of therapy. When I'm at my lowest, the intrusive thoughts are overwhelming, but deep down I know they're irrational and that they'll eventually pass, even if it doesn't feel like it on the surface level. I know some of the things I said then were concerning, but I really wasn't in any danger. There's a lot of things I want to accomplish in my life and I know I'm capable of them even if it does feel hopeless sometimes. I know I have people in my life who love me. I just have a hard time reaching out for help when I need it and need to be better at letting people be there for me. My mom raised me to be really self-sufficient and she's also got a lot on her plate with my dad being sick, so I don't want to bother her and make her spiral more than she already is. I've been set back a lot with my education because of all the stuff I've been going through, but I know I have a bright future and that I should be proud of myself for making it this far. I am back on medication and am increasing the frequency of my therapy appointments from once a month to every other week. I was doing well before I went off my meds, so I'm doing my best to get back on track. Sorry for rambling. I know I don't owe anyone an explanation of my mental health here, but I know some people were worried. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. With or without my boyfriend. My mental illness does not prevent me from being a loving and supportive friend and partner. Using therapy doesn't make me a weak person incapable of standing up for myself and making decisions. Update 2. I'm low-key regretting posting an update at all. I don't know why the opinions of strangers bother me, but it's kind of annoying that so many people didn't read the entire thing and just said I wrote all that to convince myself. I wrote that a full 24 hours after I had my conversation with him and debated posting anything at all because I figured people would be convinced he cheated regardless of anything I had to say. It's detailed because so many people had different things to say about different parts of my original post. I thought if I just posted his brother gave him the condoms, people would say that was a vague answer. Of course it feels like a complex story to someone who never heard about his trip, but the only thing I didn't already know was that his brother had given him condoms. His trip was a shit show. He was on the phone with me every single day telling me about it and fell asleep on the phone with me 99% of the time. He wasn't going out at night, he wasn't partying. Half his trip he spent with his estranged mother and her crazy racist abusive boyfriend who kept accusing him of stealing and saying wild shit about how he couldn't believe my boyfriend would sleep with an *****er like me. I had to talk him down on the phone to keep him from freaking out and endangering himself because he had no way of getting home if his mom's boyfriend kicked him out. He already got abandoned in a random town in Portugal by them for like a full day and a half at one point. I'm not surprised the condom slipped his mind. If he hadn't maintained constant communication with me while he was there, I'd be more suspicious. If he hadn't told me about all the other crazy shit his brother pulled while he was there, I'd be more suspicious. If he had gotten defensive at all, I'd be suspicious. He didn't lie to me. He didn't know they were there. The bag has 1,000,000 pockets and he only really uses one of them. The pocket seemed empty from the outside. He forgot he stashed them there. People seem so sure that I'm this naive, spineless person when I'm not. If you'd read what I said about my mental health, you would know I already have a tendency to be hyper-vigilant about red flags and be avoidant to protect myself. I don't like being vulnerable. I don't like depending on other people. I mentioned my boyfriend never yelling or cursing because I've quite literally never witnessed him get angry. The most upset I've seen him was when he was trying to defend me while he was in Europe. He's probably the most calm, stoic person I've ever met. I love that about him. I love him. I trust him. Also, his last serious relationship ended with him catching his ex in the act of cheating on him. She had mental health issues and responded to being caught by attempting to kill herself by walking into traffic. I know some internet troll is going to say that's another far-fetched story, but I know it's true. His best friend's mom, who is basically also his mom, pulled me aside when she met me and told me that she was glad he found someone that makes him so happy after everything he went through with her. I don't think he would cheat on me after going through something like that. He's a really good person. He's fully capable of being a support system for me. I just was afraid to let him because I didn't want him to feel like he had to worry about me or take care of me the way he did with her. That's not healthy though. I'm trying to be better at trusting people when they say that they want to be there for me, and that includes him. We met at school. He sat behind me in class so he couldn't even really see me. When I asked him later what most attracted him to me, he said that I was well-spoken. My appearance was just a bonus. I don't want to sound conceited, but there is rarely a time when I'm in public and I'm not approached by someone who wants to catcall me, compliment me, or ask me out. I was almost kidnapped twice as a teenager. I hate being approached. I hate being asked out. I turned down every other person that approached me at school trying to hook up or ask me out. But when he did it, he was so nervous and respectful and he felt different somehow, and so I said yes. On our very first date, he took me to an art museum. We went to an amusement park after that. He followed that up with a picnic under the stars where we spoke for at least 5 or 6 hours about our lives and what we wanted in the future. It felt scary at the time because it was the best date I'd ever been on in my life and I didn't think I was ready for anything serious, and he came along and made me feel so comfortable and at ease. We both come from emotionally volatile parents and are trying to do our best not to become them. We connected right away, but I still wanted to take things slow. It took 6 months before I was ready to make things official. During that time, he made it clear that I was the only one he was interested in. He detailed my car multiple times, brought me flowers, got my cat little holiday-themed bandanas. He bought me vinyls of albums that he noticed I listened to in the car. He did all of this without expecting anything in return, and still does these things to this day. He's trying to learn how to braid so we don't have to get my hair done anymore. When he moved in, he organized my whole closet without me asking because he remembered me complaining about it and wanted to take something off my plate. He saw I've been wanting a Gustav Westman mirror for a while and built me one. With his hands. Took me to Home Depot and let me pick out the color I wanted for it and everything. He treats me like a queen. The only rough patch in our relationship has been over the past couple of months when our intimacy decreased, but I have faith things will get better. Finding those condoms freaked me out, but I'm over it now. It's been resolved. If you can't see the value he adds to my life, that's your problem. I'm happy. I'm not responding to any more comments about it. I appreciate everyone that was supportive and recognized the effort I've put into my emotional regulation. I'm going to take a break from Reddit and enjoy the life I have. My ex-girlfriend claims my current girlfriend manipulated her into ending our 4-year relationship. Am I the asshole? I, 28 years old, am really confused about the events of the last month. My ex-girlfriend Julie, 29 years old, thinks that my current girlfriend Mindy, 28 years old, is manipulative and sabotaged our 4-year relationship. I was in a loving relationship with Julie for the last 4 years. We met through some mutual friends. Julie and I were very compatible in terms of our love for outdoor activities and running. We have very similar lifestyles and supported each other well for the last 4 years. We have also been living together for the last 3 years. We even discussed getting married during the summer. Everything was great and I was planning to propose to her over the holidays. However, I started to see changes in behavior in Julie around September. She was acting distant and looked stressed. It was quite noticeable and I was worried. I trust her with all my heart and I could not imagine she would be cheating on me. However, she did spend more time by herself. Around the same time, Julie's friend Mindy messaged me privately and asked me if I could meet her secretly, as she wanted to tell me something about Julie. Mindy and Julie work together and I've known Mindy ever since I started dating Julie. I was surprised, but to be honest, I assumed the worst. I met her at a cafe after work. She asked me if things were going on between Julie and me. She told me that Julie told her that she was planning to leave me soon. This was a total shock to me. I asked her if there was anyone else that Julie was interested in and she told me no. Julie confided in her that she was not sure about marrying me. She told me she just had to tell me this as she did not want me to be blindsided. I was devastated. I started putting more effort into making our relationship more exciting and planning more dates, etc. Mindy was also helping me through this time, and telling me more about what Julie told her. Eventually, before Thanksgiving, Julie told me that she loved me, but she wanted to take a break for a month to live alone. She said that she just wanted to live alone for a month to make sure she wanted to marry me. I was completely heartbroken. I asked her if she wanted to pursue someone else. She told me that was not the case, and I'd better not do anything stupid either. She loves me with all her heart, but she just wants to stay away from me to make sure that she is marrying me for love, and not because she is used to being with me. I did not understand that at all. I told her that if she is not sure after 4 years, if she wants to marry me, then maybe we should just break up. We had a big fight and broke up after a few days. As our lease was ending, we decided to part ways in December. She got a new apartment and I kept our old apartment and just took her name off the lease. After the breakup, I was feeling very lonely, as I was not used to being in the apartment alone. I didn't want to keep on being sad and hence invited a bunch of friends for a New Year's party. I also invited Mindy. We had a good time, and my friends were doing their best to cheer me up. Mindy also mingled with my friends and it was good. Mindy decided to stay back to help me clean up and we hooked up that night. I felt guilty, but Mindy did cheer me up. Since then, we have hung out almost daily at my place. I am still sad about Julie, but I won't lie that being with Mindy does make me feel happy. She is sweet and caring. Last Sunday, we woke up and someone was banging on the door. I went to open it and it was Julie. She looked furious and started yelling at me. She kept on accusing me of cheating on her. I told her I most certainly did not cheat on her, and she was the one who broke up with me. Mindy was also at my apartment. Julie was just angry at both of us. She started calling Mindy a manipulative bitch and told me that Mindy was the one who suggested to her that she should take some time away from me to understand her true feelings. I calmed her down and asked her to explain herself. She told me that ever since our marriage talk, she told Mindy about it and Mindy kept on asking Julie if she was sure about marrying me. Mindy suggested she take some time to herself to understand her true feelings and that I will understand and give her space. When I said no, Mindy convinced her that I was so controlling that I could not even give her 1 month to herself and convinced her to break up with me. Mindy told me that she did not say any such things, and these were all Julie's ideas and she was just there during these conversations. She did tell Julie that she told me about some of the things so that I get a chance to make things right with her over the last few months. That made Julie more angry and she started accusing me of emotionally cheating on her. Julie told me that the last few weeks have made her realize that we were meant to be together, but she now cannot believe I could move on from a 4-year relationship in a week. On one hand, I want to believe Julie, but she broke up with me for no fault of my own. Mindy was there for me when I was down, but now I also doubt her. She suddenly started talking to me out of the blue as we were never really close before, and immediately became my support after the breakup, although Julie was her close friend. Am I the AH to emotionally cheat on Julie? Should I have told her about Mindy's texts? Should I have not moved on from her so quickly, even though Julie broke up with me? I was just hurting and Mindy was right there to support me. I need advice from someone with a clear mind on what the fuck is going on. Relevant comments. Comment 1. Sounds like you and Julie need to talk privately and discuss what Mindy said to each of you. As others said, this sounds all too convenient. Mindy was in both of your ears telling you both what she wanted you to hear to orchestrate this whole thing. Please reach out to Julie and ask her to talk to you alone. Even if you both don't get back together, I'm sure you care for each other deeply and she would want you to be with someone who cares about you and won't manipulate you, and her. Her manipulation of you is more direct, but Julie is the victim as well. OP, you are right. If Julie is right, I just threw a 4-year relationship under the bus in 2 weeks. Comment 2. So what's your reason for sleeping with your ex's good friend weeks after the breakup? It's understandable you wanted to move on, but why her? OP, I was not planning on it. But she just stayed back after the party and things happened. Did I feel guilty after that? Yes. I felt discarded and unwanted after a 4-year relationship and was not thinking straight. Update 1, I, 28, posted last week regarding my girlfriend Julie, 29, accusing her friend and co-worker Mindy, 28, of sabotaging our relationship. Julie broke up with me in December after a 4-year relationship, and Mindy reached out to me when I was feeling down. However, when Julie realized Mindy was talking to me, she confronted both of us last Sunday morning and told me that Mindy manipulated her to break up with me. The worst part was I was not thinking straight after the breakup and ended up hooking up with Mindy after a New Year's party. After the incident, I asked Mindy if I needed some time and did not meet her. Since then, I made the following post on Reddit and had 3,000 people call me an idiot. I am sorry for the long post, but I wanted to say that we were not idiots to not see what happened. You guys read an abridged version of events in 5 minutes, while we lived it for the last 7 months. I messaged Julie every day since then, to try and talk to her. She did not reply to my messages. I was not sure if she blocked me. Mindy was constantly trying to message me, asking if we could meet and talk about it. On Wednesday, one day after posting, I decided to message Mindy. I told her to tell me everything she said to Julie truthfully. I told her I would go and see if I found out that she was lying. Mindy wanted to meet me in person or talk to me on the phone, but I wanted everything in writing. She messaged me that Julie always said good things about me for all these years. When Julie told her about us talking about getting married in 2024, she was happy for both of us. However, Julie started telling her that she had cold feet and was not sure if she wanted to marry me because of issues she observed about her parents' marriage. One day Julie told her she wanted to take a break from me. She was not sure about her true feelings for me. That was the time Mindy told me about Julie's behavior, as she felt bad for me, as we were already telling our families about the engagement plans. After our fight, she said that Julie was extremely upset and told Mindy that she would never marry me. She said that the only reason Julie came back was when she heard that I was moving on, as she is jealous of us. She also said that I was a good guy, and hopefully, I see that what we have is something special. I just said okay and told her I needed time. I kept on messaging Julie once a day to at least talk to her once. It was heartbreaking to think that she may have blocked me and may never talk to me again. On Friday afternoon, Julie finally replied. She said she wanted to meet me and told me she would come to our apartment on Saturday afternoon. I cleaned the place up and was just feeling deep guilt from inside before facing her. When she came in, she looked like a shell of herself and completely broken. I sat on our sofa, but she chose to sit away from me. We asked how we both were, but it was clear that none of us were doing well. I started apologizing, but she stopped me. She asked me to let her finish and not to interrupt her. She had brought her little notebook and had written down things she wanted to say to me. She told me that she truly loved me. But after we discussed getting married, she started feeling scared of the next big step. She thought those feelings were normal and would go away. So she decided to not discuss her concerns with me. It kept on eating her from inside, and she made a mistake to talk to Mindy about them. She said that she wanted to say everything to me now, so I don't get secondhand information about why she was distant and broke up with me. She said that her parents had a very rocky marriage, though they were together until her mom passed away in 2021 during the pandemic. Her parents argued constantly, and she always thought her mom did not love her dad. However, her mom was extremely dependent on him for everything, and her dad knew it and hence didn't treat her well. She never wanted to be like her mom after the marriage. However, as we lived together, she started seeing some of those issues in our relationship. For example, when we met, Julie had a lot of credit card debt and was bad at managing her money. I helped her with that. Even though we have separate finances, I ended up managing all her finances, investments, etc. At her request, to the point that she did not know or understand where her money exactly was. She also said that we always enjoy making nice meals for dinner every day. However, whenever I work late, she completely loses any motivation to cook and ends up eating cheese and crackers like a toddler for dinner. She also complained that in the last 4 years of our relationship, I have never said no to her for buying anything. She feels that I coddle her, and she just got comfortable with all the luxuries and things I can provide for her. She talked about this with Mindy, and while Mindy initially just listened to her, she told her around September that one of her cousins also had the same issue. She decided to stay away from her fiancé for a month, and within a week, she realized how much she missed him and never had doubts again. When Julie asked for a break, all she wanted to do was to live with her best friend for a few weeks, to see if she was just too codependent on me. She knew I was planning to propose during our Christmas trip to my parents' house, and when I told her that she could not take a break, she just freaked out and broke up with me, as she did not want to be engaged without knowing for sure that we won't end up like her parents. After this, she asked me when I started meeting Mindy, and how many times we met. I opened my chat messages with Mindy and handed her the phone. I told her I met Mindy only once in September, where she told me that Julie wanted to break up with me because she was not happy with our relationship. I already had noticed Julie's distant behavior, and when I asked her, the only answer I got was, "I am fine, we are fine." Due to my insecurities, I tried to hold on to Julie and started coddling her more, planning more expensive dates, and trying to spend more time at home. When Julie asked me for a break and to stay away from me for a few weeks, I thought that was the final step before the breakup and broke down and fought with her, which led to our breakup and her moving out. At this point, Julie's voice started cracking up. She asked me when Mindy contacted you after the breakup. I pointed her to the messages. Mindy initially just started sending me memes to cheer me up, and I just used to respond with thanks, or a thumbs up. However, the messages started getting more frequent, and she offered to talk to me in case I needed help. She asked me what I was doing for Christmas and New Year's, and when I told her I was inviting a few friends, she told me that she does not have any plans for New Year's, and I invited her. Julie stopped me there. She told me she did not need to hear the details after that. She told me that when she moved out of our house after our fight, she thought she was just not ready to get married to me. She stayed with her friend for 2 weeks and then got her new apartment in January. She told me that she was miserable and missed me badly. It became more acute when she moved into the apartment alone and could not stay there for even one night. Her best friend is currently staying with her in the new apartment. She realized she could not live without me within a week of living there. When she asked one of our mutual friends, on Saturday, about how I was doing, she told her about the party and told her Mindy was there. It did not make sense to her why Mindy would be at the party. She concluded that Mindy and I were having an affair during our relationship, and that was the reason Mindy must have tried to break us apart, by constantly telling her that she should not get married if she had doubts. When she saw Mindy in our apartment on Sunday, she completely broke down. However, when she learned that Mindy was also talking to me and telling me the opposite things, she realized how naive she was to throw everything away without properly talking to me first. As hurt as she is seeing me with Mindy, she also does not want to lose me. She kept on calling herself an idiot and apologizing for not telling her concerns to me sooner. I sat next to her and tried to hug her, but she moved away. She asked me if I was willing to still be together, and I told her I would give anything to get her back. She told me she was also willing to forget what happened, but she had a few conditions. Her first condition was that I cut contact with Mindy. I block her everywhere and never contact her again. If I see her standing in front of me, I act as if she is invisible. I was okay with that. Secondly, she has already signed up for individual therapy and is on the wait list. She wants us to do couples therapy so that we can talk about all the concerns we have and work through them. We also decided to hold off our engagement or marriage until we both can get into couples therapy. I was also okay with that too. Finally, she wanted me to forget the last month as a bad nightmare and never talk about it again. And if I ever make a "we were on a break" joke, she will punch me in the face. This was the first time we both smiled. I asked her what she was going to do about Mindy as they worked together. She said the biggest punishment for Mindy is to know that she did not succeed in breaking us up. She wants Mindy to see how happy she is with me. She wants Mindy to be there when she flaunts her engagement ring in the office and gets jealous when we get married. We hugged and I felt so relieved that I had a chance to make things right for her. I asked her to stay and she agreed. The rest of the evening was nice. We ordered DoorDash and watched reruns of Top Chef while cuddling on our couch. In the morning, we discussed moving back together. I want her to move back to our old apartment, but she wants a fresh start and asked me if I'm willing to move into her new apartment. Her new apartment is tiny compared to our current apartment and also not in the best neighborhood, but we will talk about it more and decide. I also will have to deal with the issue of having two 12-month leases, and how to get out of one of them. Currently, Julie went to her apartment after lunch to get some of her stuff for the week and I am writing this post. I am just so lucky that I did not lose Julie despite my terrible actions during the last month. I just hope that I will be able to work things out and get married soon, and this whole incident is a small bump in our perfect relationship. I also don't know how to address the issue where she feels coddled by my behavior and feels like I'm making her codependent on me. It's just my personality and I need to work on that during couples therapy. However, any tips from you guys are welcome on how to make her feel less codependent. P.S. Thanks to everyone who checked on my health during the last few days via direct messages, and sent me numbers for helplines. Don't worry, I am a marathon runner, and don't give up that easily. Relevant comments. Comment 1. So what happened to Mindy? OP, no idea. As far as I'm concerned, she does not exist. Comment 2. So it was Mindy who suggested to Julie to take the break. OP, yes. Mindy told Julie that she should take a break, and at the same time told me Julie wanted to break up with me because she was unhappy with me. I thought a break meant she wanted to move away and I would never see her again if I said yes. Comment 3. I don't know how you can make someone who can't even stay alone in their apartment less codependent. She needs her own therapist to make that happen, or she will again blame you for making her that way. OP, yes, she is looking for one right now. I have been in therapy and it takes time to find the right therapist that helps you. At least now we have discussed the issue, so it will be easier for us to see the signs and work on them together. New update. I wrote a few posts 6 months ago regarding breaking up with my then fiancée Julie because she asked me for a break and then hooking up with her friend Mindy. It turned out that Mindy was the one who encouraged Julie to ask me for a break and also befriended me and told me about Julie's intentions in advance. They were the worst few weeks of my life, but Julie and I reconciled and got back together. A lot of you have been asking me for an update, and I feel this is a good time to give a final update. After the incident, Julie told me that she wants to get back together and forget about the whole thing, but I could see that she was still hurt by my behavior. I tried to not love bomb her and give her space as that was the reason why we broke up in the first place. Julie had a mental breakdown, and had a panic attack, during the week after she saw Mindy with me in our apartment. She got an online therapist who she still sees once a week. We also looked for couples counseling and were able to see one almost a month after the incident. We decided to put our plans for marriage on hold until then. I could feel that Julie was making a lot of effort to act normally, but something was not right. I was optimistic about us, but it was hard to see her suffer because of my actions. During our first couples counseling session, we both opened up about our relationship and talked about the incident. Julie apologized to me for not communicating what was in her mind and how bad she felt for putting me through all the drama. She told me that she did not know how to process her thoughts and did not want to unload all her negative feelings on me and panicked in the moment. I also apologized to her about everything, and at one point we were in competition on who gets to take a bigger blame for what happened. There were a lot of tears, and I found the experience very healing. The counselor told us that she could see how much we love each other and should take baby steps towards talking to each other about what is in our mind. She gave us some exercises to do after going home and discussing certain things. By the time we left her office, I was so sure that I wanted to spend my life with Julie. I told her that, and she also said that she cannot imagine a life without me. We decided to go ahead with our wedding plans. Mindy tried to contact me several times. She messaged me, but Julie blocked her on my phone and all socials. She also contacted Julie and sent some nasty messages to her. The worst was 15 days after the incident, when Mindy started posting pictures of me and her on Instagram every day. Some of those photos were intimate, non-nude, and it caused a lot of pain to Julie. Julie reported her to HR and got a transfer, and promotion, to a different department after a month. The last I heard from Mindy was when she sent me a long email on my work email, but I deleted it without reading. The photos Mindy posted did cause a lot of drama, and we had to explain to our parents and friends about what happened during that time. As you all may have guessed, I was unanimously nominated for the Idiot of the Year award, but I am sure my sister would give me a good run for it before the year ends. The whole issue lasted for a month, And then we never heard from Mindy again and just moved on with our lives. Julie has been talking to her therapist about her codependency issues and concerns. I think it's childhood trauma, and the therapist feels that it might have amplified after her mother's sudden death. I have been trying to help Julie slowly take interest in our finances, recommend Ramit Sethi podcast, but she is allergic to money talks and always changes the subject. I was able to break the lease that Julie signed by paying some penalty, and we stayed in our old apartment. However, Julie wanted to move out of it as soon as possible because of the bad memories. We purchased a single-family home a few months ago in a nice suburb and moved there in May. I don't think that issue of codependency is resolved and probably may have increased after the incident, but I love her, will always be there for her when she needs me. On to the main update. Julie and I got married last Saturday in a nice intimate ceremony held at my father's country club. All our family and friends were present, and I could not have asked for a better evening. I wish I could share photos of Julie in her wedding dress because she looked stunning. We plan to leave for our honeymoon next week, and I could not have been happier about how things turned out. Hopefully, in 25 years, Julie and I would look back at this incident as a small blip in our perfect life. Relevant comments. Comment 1, looks like a happy update after all. Make sure to keep communicating about any issues either of you might have, and don't be afraid to go back to counseling if it's needed. OP, thanks. We did attend couples counseling for 2 more sessions, and it was good to talk through our expectations about each other. I know not everyone needs it, but would highly recommend it to any couple getting married. Comment 2. I'm sorry, how are you the idiot for her leaving you because her BFF got into her head? Also, how is your sister trying to take away your championship belt? OP. I feel like an idiot because I should have taken some time before moving on to the next girl willing to be with me. Julie and I were in a relationship for 4 years, and I almost threw everything away in 15 days. I feel if you read the first post in isolation and the 3K plus comments, you would also see why I am an idiot here. My sister is a goofball. I am sure she will do something more stupid before the end of the year. There is no way in hell I will win that title when she is around. Am I the asshole for not allowing my mother to bring her boyfriend I don't know or want to know to my wedding? I, 33, am not close with my mother, 55F, at all. She divorced my dad, 60, when I was 7 and almost immediately married my stepfather, Mark, whom despite everything, I was close with. They remained married until I was 16. I was upset when she divorced him and went to live with my dad and stepmom. In my adult life, I've chosen to remain close to my stepdad and even attended his wedding to his current wife, who is a very nice woman. My dad and my stepmom are great people. Since her divorce to my stepdad, my mom has been in and out of relationships, each time claiming this guy is the love of her life until they do something she doesn't like and they aren't the love of her life anymore. Both divorces with my dad and my stepdad were for very petty reasons. Dad, I think because he wouldn't allow her to get a new car because the budget was tight. I think the one that lasted the longest was 6 years, and I think it's the current guy she's with, according to my sister. After I left home, she never did anything with me without her boyfriends. When I was 25, she broke up with her boyfriend and tried to cry to me about it. After working with my therapist, I set the boundary with my mother that if she wasn't willing to do anything with me without her boyfriend to not bother, and I didn't want to talk about her love life. She was very hurt and we fell out for a while, but she came back around a year later and has respected my rules since, but we only get together about 3 or 4 times per year. I understand that my mom's relationships and love life are important to her, so I respect that we don't get together often. Fast forward to this year, I'm getting married to my partner, 35M, of a decade in October. It's a small intimate backyard wedding and reception, BBQ. We live in a rural area and our backyard wedding will have roughly 40 people. My dad, stepmom, stepdad and his new wife have all been invited. My mom asked if she could bring her boyfriend. I said no because I don't know him. My mom asked if she could bring him to meet me so I could meet him before the wedding. I said no and that I still had no interest in meeting her boyfriends. She said she understood, but she felt it was unfair that I wasn't allowing her a +1 to my wedding when my dad and my stepdad were allowed to bring their spouses. I told her that the difference was that I knew their spouses. She wanted to know why I was so adamant about refusing to get to know her boyfriend. I explained to her that I saw no need since she'd just break up with them and move on to someone else eventually, as she has always done before. She started to cry and told me I was being unreasonable and treating her as if she's a *****. Both my fiancé and my sister feel like I should suck it up for one day and let her bring her boyfriend so she can be comfortable there. I'm seriously considering it, but I wanted to know if I'm TA here for sticking to my boundary at my wedding and what your thoughts are. Update. After reading everything here, I've decided to email my mother and invite him. I was already leaning towards telling her that he can come when I post it. I decided to set some ground rules for my mother. He is there as a +1 to my mother only. I made it clear to her that he is not my family and he is not my stepfather, so I will appreciate her not telling other people at the wedding he is my stepfather. Mark is my stepfather and he will be there. He is not to be in any family photos. In fairness, my stepdad Mark won't be in any family photos either, only my mom, dad, stepmom, and my siblings. He is not to approach me at any point during the wedding and reception. This does not change my previous boundaries. I'm only allowing him to come for her own comfort and to create a sense of fairness. I respect the fact she is in a relationship but that her love life has nothing to do with me and I wish to keep it that way. I told my mother that these are my terms for him being at my wedding and my terms are final and that I hope she can respect the fact that I'm trying to be reasonable. I use this opportunity to remind her of the reasons I put the boundary up in the first place. These reasons included forcing me to do activities with her shorter-term boyfriends in the past, forcing me to only discuss her love life while showing no interest in my life, and putting her relationships above her own children. If she responds, I'll let everyone know. Update 2. My mom called me within 10 minutes of getting the email. She thanked me for allowing him to come and said they would abide by my terms. She said she felt really hurt that her actions during her midlife crisis are why I'm refusing to meet her current boyfriend, who she says she's been with for 7.5 years, and that she thought things would eventually calm down enough where I would be comfortable meeting him. She said she now realizes that it will never happen. I told her that I'm firm on my stance. I think she started to cry, but she said she understood and only wants him there because being around my dad and stepdad and their new wives, my dad has been married for 23 years and my stepdad for 12, makes her anxious and he helps keep her calm. She said she respects my stance and said it's her own fault I feel this way. I felt this may be the start of a guilt trip, so I politely ended the call. Verdict, not the asshole. Additional comments to the post from OOP. OP. Update. I will update here since Mods told me I was maxed on my post. I want to thank everyone here for commenting and giving their opinions. Without context, I think it's a little hard to understand why I'm the way I am towards my mother. This past has given me a chance to reflect on my own behavior towards my mother. The truth of it is, I find dealing with her to be exhausting and I want to explain to everyone why. My mom is a gold digger. And that isn't my dad or stepdad talking shit about my mom. They're classy guys and would never do that. This is my own conclusion. My mom said regarding both divorces, I'd still be married if dad or stepdad just gave me what I wanted. She's also tried to start fights with my stepmom because she realizes my brother and I prefer her over our actual mom. It's true, I'm closer with my stepmom. I go to her for all the mom things because she listens and cares. My stepmom doesn't make everything about her. I believe my mom suffers from main character syndrome and expects to be the center of attention at every event, and if she isn't, she gets drunk, which leads me to my next point. My mom is an alcoholic. She was in a DUI 8 years ago and crashed into another car. Thank goodness no one was hurt. She doesn't drive anymore, lives in the city an hour away, and uses public transportation. But she still drinks a lot. At her height, she drank roughly 3 bottles of wine per day. I don't really know or care if it's more or less now. One of the other boundaries I set is I won't be around her if she's been drinking because that just stresses me out more. I'll be honest, I'm anticipating she's going to cause a drunken scene at my wedding. She slept with my brother's best friend 8 years ago when they were 21. This was a boy who my brother had known since preschool, and this ruined the friendship. 8 years on and my brother will never forgive her for it. My mom thinks my brother needs to get over himself and that she did nothing wrong. Technically speaking, she didn't do anything illegal and everyone was a consenting adult, but it still felt so wrong that she slept with someone my brother was so close with. It's why I don't really want my partner around her. She dates younger guys. This current boyfriend is 10 years younger than her, which is a little better. I don't judge her for dating younger guys, that's okay. It's not okay to sleep with someone you watched grow up. This whole post helped me see just how exhausted I am by her. I realized I don't want to deal with her BS anymore. I also agree that I have maybe at times shown it by being TA and being unfair and unreasonable towards her. I just don't like myself when dealing with her. It puts me in a bad mood. However, the idea of having her more in my life makes me nauseous, but I want to keep the peace with the larger family, grandparents, aunt, uncle, etc. I've decided to take a page from my youngest brother's book and keep contact with just family functions. He's cordial to her at family events and keeps the peace when he's around her. But he keeps his distance and won't see her outside of a family event. So I'm going to do the same. I realized she could get sober, go to therapy, and change her entire life around, but I'm still going to see the woman who drinks all the time, sleeps with my brother's friend, and just treats people like garbage. It's not fair to anyone. Not me for having dealt with her, and not her if she ever did or was actively working hard to change her life. I do want to make sure she's taken care of, fine and healthy, but I also want to not be emotionally involved anymore. Figuring that out is above Reddit's pay grade. Relevant comments from OOP, resident_test_2107. Honestly, I think you need to distinguish the hurt you felt as a kid when she broke up with your two father figures from what would happen now if they broke up. You are an adult, not a kid. Her breakups are her business, and don't impact you directly. Expecting someone to come to a wedding with her two exes there with their new wives is a lot. Expecting her to suck it up to put you first feels like you're trying to play out some drama and feelings you have left over from feeling hurt and abandoned as a kid by her breaking up your home. Divorce happens, it sucks for the kids, but so does an unhappy marriage. Feels like time to go back to therapy. OP, in my early 20s, she used to call me whenever she had a breakup and expected my sister and me to be emotionally supportive. She wouldn't spend time with me without her BFS around. She was insisting I meet some guy, who typically is a lot younger than her, like late 20s, or early 30s, which is good on her but still weird for me. She was dating for a few weeks. They'd break up after a year and she'd immediately find someone new. Wash, rinse, repeat. This was the pattern from when I was 19, 25. I always had to spend time with both of them. All she would talk about is her relationship. She would never ask me about school, my job, or my relationship. She's only met my partner twice. There's a lot more I can add about how my mom constantly prioritized her relationships over being a parent, but they aren't pertinent to this story. She got with a really toxic guy when I was 24 who stole a bunch of money from her. We all warned her he was a scumbag, but she didn't listen. After that, I told her I wanted nothing to do with her boyfriends going forward. She got really mad, saying I was disrespectful and that any child should want to see her mother happy. But I just got tired of dealing with her relationship drama, and I don't ever want to deal with it again. I'm sure the guy she's with is nice since he's been around this long, but I'm just done. I don't want to be around my mother, but I want to be around family. August 28, 2023. I've decided to estrange myself from my mother. We haven't gotten along since I was 16, and the last several years have been really bad. We only get together about 2-4 times per year, and it always ends with us fighting. I'm tired of it. I'll be honest. I've considered cutting contact with her, but the one thing that's preventing me from fully severing ties is her parents, my grandparents. I love them very much, and they are still hurting from my brother choosing to sever ties with her and keeping in low contact with that side of the family. My brother had valid reasons for doing this to her, and he will get together with my grandparents if my mother isn't there, but it's hard because they want to see him at the holidays and during special moments. I'm getting married in Oct, and this will be the first event where my mom and brother are in the same area. I've told both of them to stay away from each other, but I'm anticipating there will be drama because my mom doesn't like to hear she can't do something. I want to make it so we can see each other and be cordial at family events but not hang out otherwise. My youngest brother does something similar. I don't want to write her a letter because I fear that will cause more drama, but I expect she'll eventually call and want to do something with me, but I want to say no unless it's at a larger family function. How should I do this? My mother thinks she's entitled to alcohol at my wedding, September 23, 2023. My fiancé, 35M, and I, 33NB, are getting married in 2 weeks in our backyard. We will be having a catering spread for our reception afterwards. We decided to have a dry wedding for 2 reasons. My mom is an alcoholic who is known for making a scene when she gets drunk, and my fiancé has a brother who binge drinks and has had alcohol poisoning on more than one occasion. He doesn't drink all the time, but if he starts, he can't stop until he either passes out or someone physically restrains him from getting more. I also have an uncle, mom's brother, and a stepdad who are in recovery and don't need the temptation. Neither fiancé and I are big drinkers, so we decided to just avoid any problems and just have a dry wedding. We will have a less dry reception party, honeymoon with some of our friends later on. All of our families have been supportive. My uncle was especially grateful to us for doing this since he takes his recovery very seriously and has been 7 years sober. I sent out wedding invitations 4 months ago and said it would be a dry wedding and asked people not to bring alcohol. Now today I get this call from my mom, who I also sent an invitation to 4 months ago. Mom, is it true you're not having alcohol at your wedding? Me, yes. Fiancé and I decided we didn't want alcohol during our special time. Mom, that's so silly. It's going to make your wedding boring. Me, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but and I have made our decision. We want everyone to feel comfortable at our wedding. Mom. Clearly, you don't care about my comfort. What if I want to have a little drink to pass the time? Me. Like you did at a different uncle. His wedding where you got so drunk and made a horrible scene calling uncle's wife a gold digger. Mom, it wasn't my fault. They made the drinks there too strong. Me. Right. I really wish you would address this need to have alcohol wherever you go. Mom, I don't need to have alcohol. I just think your wedding will be boring without it. You want to have a fun wedding, don't you? Me. It will be a fun wedding. We don't need alcohol to have fun. Mom, this is so stupid. Why should everyone else be punished just to make it comfortable for a few people? It seems like you care more about uncle and stepdad than anyone else. Me. Or maybe I just want to avoid any scenes. Mom, I just told you that wasn't my fault. Me, just like your DUI isn't your fault? Mom, how dare you bring up that difficult time in my life? I was going through a lot emotionally. What the hell is wrong with you kids? You need to mind your own business. If I want to drink, that's my business. Me, well, my wedding is my business. We do not want alcohol there. That's final. I can't stop you if you decide to pregame my wedding, but I've already made it clear to uncles and brothers that if you cause a scene that you are to be made to leave. Mom starts crying. Why do you kids hate me so much? What did I ever do to deserve to be treated like this by my children? Me, are you really ready for me to go down that list? Mom, none of you understand. None of you will ever understand. I'm the mother of the bride, I should be treated better than this. Me, I think I've treated you pretty well during this process. I've acquiesced to your boyfriend whom I don't even know coming to my wedding. I've even given in to some of your other demands. So please tell me how you've been mistreated. Mom, you didn't invite me to go dress shopping. The mother of the bride always goes dress shopping with her daughter. I barely know because you never bring him around me. How do I know that you're marrying the right person? Me, that's because Aunt made my dress. Mom, sarcastically. Well, isn't that just special? Me, sighing. As for the rest, I think you know why. We aren't really close enough for you to have any say in who my significant other is. Honestly, Mom, I'm done with this conversation. If you really feel that strongly about this, I'll understand if you don't want to attend my wedding. Mom. Oh, I bet you'd like that, wouldn't you? One way or another you will respect me as your mother. Me. Sure, Mom. I'm hanging up now. Bye. Guys, I'm so livid right now. I have half a mind to uninvite her. I spoke to my dad and her brother. My uncle thinks her drinking is getting really bad again and has been wanting to hold an intervention. I told him I'm focused on the wedding right now, but that I definitely agree this was out of line and something needs to be done. What should I do? I don't want her ruining my wedding, but I'm so tired of dealing with this. Sorry, this is probably above Reddit's pay grade, but I just needed to vent. Update, I sent a text reiterating the rules. She said she knows where she isn't welcome and said she won't attend. My dad told me not to worry about this anymore and that he'll see to it that she doesn't ruin my wedding. Update 2. I sent this text to my mom. Mother, at this point I'm going to officially uninvite you from my wedding. I'm not going to allow you to change your mind, and I'd prefer it if you do not come to my wedding at all given your poor behavior. At this point, I've decided I don't want any further contact with you unless you decide to curb your toxic behaviors and drinking. I wish you the best. I hope you can find a way to heal, but I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry if this hurts you, but I can't handle you in my life anymore. If you try to force the issue, I'll be forced to take legal action up to and including contacting law enforcement. Please don't contact me again. I went to delete her from my Facebook page only to find a post that she had just written saying how being a mother is a thankless job and how she doesn't understand how she raised rude and judgmental kids. She ended it by saying she hopes her kids get over themselves someday. I'm done. This sucks, but it's been a long time coming. My head hurts. Small update, September 24th, 2023. Firstly, I want to thank everyone for their support. You have no idea how much your love and constructive comments mean to me. I'm glad I'm not alone. It's not a huge update, but I guess my grandparents and uncles have had enough. They've decided to stage an intervention next weekend. If she refuses to get help, she will no longer be welcomed at family events and she will no longer be part of the family. They told me not to worry about it. My sister will go as she's the only one of her children that even has a real relationship with her, but even my sister said that if she doesn't get help, she will cut her off too. I'm hoping and praying this works, but given that she spent 1 year in rehab and the second she was off probation chose to drink again doesn't give me a lot of hope. My dad told me he's hiring the local biker gang to act as security. We live in a small town and the nearest big city is about an hour away, so it would be really expensive to have a security company come out. I don't have a problem with that. This is the type of gang that helps out abused kids and animals, and they do a lot of good where I live. The worst I've heard about them is they doled out some rural justice to a guy that was beating up the sister of one of the members and ran him out of town. When my mom got her DUI, she ran into someone's house and car. When she tried to back out, no one was hurt, thank goodness. And I guess it was the house of a relation of someone in the gang, so they agreed to help, and my dad is paying them to be security just in case. They know my family. One of my dad's cousins is a member, and they know my mom. I think she dated a guy in the gang at one point, and what to look out for. It may be moot if she ends up in rehab. I'm not stressing about her anymore. I have 13 days until my wedding. I'm going to focus on the final touches and just enjoy myself. My biological mom made her choices. Now that I've stood up for myself, I feel nothing but relief. My stepmom will be there and I see her more as my real mom, so it's all fine. I've been through a lot of therapy already, so I've had to make peace with how my actual mother is. I'm officially estranged from my mother, September 24th, 2023, same day. Well, it happened yesterday. I got into a fight with my mother and officially estranged myself from her. It sucks, and I had a gnarly headache when I was done. Her drinking and behavior just proved too much, and I had to univite her from my wedding. I feel sad it came to this, but the most powerful feeling I have is relief. Update. My mother thinks she's entitled to alcohol at my wedding, September 30th, 2023. I didn't think I'd be back so soon, but it's my mom's world and we all just live in it. My mother got 911 called on her for domestic violence on Tuesday. She apparently started throwing wine bottles at her boyfriend, who locked himself in the bathroom and called the cops while she destroyed their place in one of her temper tantrums. She wasn't making any sense when the cops got there, so they restrained her and took her to a hospital. She's been stuck in the psychiatric ward ever since. My sister was listed as a contact for her and she got the call about mom on Wednesday. The doctors at the hospital spoke to my sister and they think she may be showing signs of alcohol-related dementia and some sort of psychotic disorder like bipolar disorder. They currently have her in alcohol detox, and from what my sister was told, it's pretty bad. They won't allow her visitors until she's out of detox, not that anyone really has a desire to visit her anymore. My sister and I decided enough was enough, and we petitioned for guardianship for her yesterday at the request of a social worker who interviewed my sister, my uncles, my grandparents, and myself. A guardianship means they can hold her while it winds through the system rather than her being released after 72 hours. My grandmother's upset as she thinks all of the issues should be kept in the family and the state shouldn't step in. My uncles and grandfather are on the side of having a guardianship. As far as they're concerned, she's not welcome in the family anymore, and they won't allow her to continue to take advantage of anyone in the family anymore. My sister and I say let her be a professional's problem and let them figure out what to do with her. My brothers don't care and have effectively washed their hands of her years ago, so their stance is whatever keeps her as far away as humanly possible. We can't deal with her anymore, and why should we? With the guardianship petition, I'm working on washing my hands of this situation entirely. I'm sure I'll be interviewed about why a guardianship is necessary, but other than that, I don't plan to have any further contact with my mom unless she apologizes and makes amends for her behavior, if that's something she's even capable of anymore. I just don't see that happening, and any compassion or understanding I had for her in the past is gone. Whatever state her life is in, she brought it on herself. I just want to move on with my life without her in it and be done with her for good. It doesn't look like she'll be released from the hospital anytime soon, so there's no risk of her attending my wedding. I did talk to her boyfriend yesterday after sister and I filed our paperwork, and we decided to invite him to lunch. He's decided to break up with her for good, and we learned just how bad things were with her. He's a real nice guy who's been caught up in a bad situation and had no clue how bad she could be. I feel really bad for him. I did decide to invite him to my wedding, as I can tell he's a lonely dude who's been to hell and back. Not sure he'll show, but the offer is there. There was a time I'd have allowed an event like this to ruin the run-up to the wedding, but I've been able to separate my mom's behavior from the wedding. It hasn't put a damper on it. Now that my mom is squared away, I can enjoy myself. I just put the final touches on the catering order and am expecting the last of my supplies. My aunt wants to put the final touches on my wedding attire. If I haven't mentioned, both my fiancé and I are huge steampunk fans, and so we're wearing steampunk attire and encouraging everyone else to dress in steampunk. Not required though. My wedding dress is actually more of a suit situation, but it looks badass. I don't think I'll update again, as I want to put all of this behind me, and I don't plan to have any contact with my mother going forward. I'm looking forward to a bright future with my husband. My mom can stay in the past, and as cold and heartless as it sounds, I'm glad she's not going to be my family's problem anymore. Post-wedding update, October 9th, 2023. I just signed into this account again with a lot of people begging for updates. I don't have a lot. I guess my entire story is now in the best of Reddit. Thanks, I guess. I never knew dealing with my alcoholic mother was worthy of a best post. I just wanted to rant and sanity check myself. Only news on my mother is that she's out of detox and currently in a catatonic state, refusing to speak, eat, or drink water. They may install a feeding tube if she doesn't let up. I think she's trying to be dramatic and get attention, so do my uncles. I could be wrong, but honestly I don't care anymore. We're not sure she has dementia, but she definitely has something going on, but doing any kind of evaluation while she acts like this is difficult. She also has liver disease, needs dialysis and possibly even a transplant, if she qualifies. The doctors made it very clear that if she doesn't quit drinking, she will die within the next 5 years, and it may even still be too late. I think I'd feel more sad, but I've had to realize that I lost my mother long ago. I did invite my mom's boyfriend, but he chose not to come. He's decided to get help for his own alcohol issues, according to my sister. I wish him the best. As for the wedding, I'm now happily married, and on Wednesday I took a pregnancy test that came back positive. We're super excited but haven't told anyone in our family yet. The wedding was fantastic and the day went off without a hitch. We had a blast and are heading out on our honeymoon on Wednesday to Costa Rica. My brothers and stepbrothers very sweetly hazed my husband during the at-home bachelor party and made it clear they're excited to have another brother. My stepmom did all of the mom stuff during the wedding. That was already planned before all of this. No one snuck in alcohol, there weren't any scenes. The worst that happened was my sister crying due to all of the stress she's been under. I do have some sympathy, but most of it is self-inflicted though, because she enables. But all in all, it was a great day and I was surrounded by those I love most. I know a lot of people asked for pics on my wedding suit. I will see if there's some way I can crop identifying stuff from it and post it here once I get my wedding pictures back. Otherwise, I'll figure out a way to post the outfits themselves. That's all I have. I'll try to update after my honeymoon. Now it seems like a baby is coming, so no promises.
My husband is fucking in love with another woman and wants to try polyamory. I feel like I'm the third person in my own story. Hi. I've been married to my hubby for 4 years and we've been together for 12 years. After a lot of financial struggle, we bought a house and we are now planning to get kids. Thing is, a few months ago my husband felt sick and had to stay home for a while. He decided to pick up an online game and started having weekly sessions with a group of players. Among them is a girl, 30 I think. And long story short, he fell in love with her. He broke down crying a month ago and admitted it. He told me it built up so gradually he didn't understand how he felt until it was too late. They started texting privately after meeting and eventually had one-on-one calls together. Then at some point he said, she told him she was in love with him and he realized it was mutual. He said he told her it was impossible but loved her too. They tried to be just friends but they couldn't resist, and continued to show affection for each other. He showed me the texts, but also ventured into sexting. She asked if she could meet him face to face but he refused. So he told me all of this, apologized over and over again and told me he couldn't control himself, and while he loved us both, it was me he would choose no matter what. I was still very upset and slept at a friend's that night to gather my thoughts. I decided to forgive him because he clearly felt guilt and wanted to work it out. I told him that while I was deeply hurt, I still appreciated him coming forward to me and being honest about what happened. We got into long conversations about how we were feeling in our relationship. I accepted he could love someone else but said I didn't like how he handled it. He agreed. And then yesterday he asked if I was comfortable opening up the marriage to polyamory. He said he still wanted to live with me and have kids but can't erase nor ignore the feelings he has for her. He says he wants to do it right and let us both see other people, with clear boundaries and communication, and still be present for one another. I'm gonna be honest, it made me very uncomfortable at first. We have several friends who are poly, I know more or less how it works. But I never really thought about getting into it myself. I am not against it, it just never crossed my mind before. I am trying to think it through, but it's a lot to take in. Sorry, my writing is probably messy, but it's kind of hard to focus. I guess it's too early to decide and we have a lot more to discuss beforehand, but still. Could you guys give me your opinions on this? Thanks a lot. Top comments. Commenter 1, I'd be divorcing so fast. Dog of the bone. So he cheated and now wants to be able to keep cheating by calling it poly, lol. Come on. Do not have kids with this man for the love of God, and if you have any self-respect you'll be serving him divorce papers as soon as possible. Sorry your husband is a cheating ass. Swamp cats. You got married under the assumption you would remain monogamous. He is trying to fundamentally change the nature of your relationship. If I were you, I would drop any attempts at conceiving and figure out your next steps. Personally, I would not stay with someone who desired an open relationship. You need to decide if it's something you're willing to entertain or not. Update 1. Hey guys, first off, sorry I didn't reply to all your comments. I am very thankful for them. They helped me realize hard, but fair truths about the whole situation. I waited for a bit to think about it all and had multiple long discussions with my husband. I wanted to confront him before making a final decision. To answer some of your questions, the other girl wanted to meet him, but they never did. Partly because my husband refused, but honestly, mostly because she lives too far from here. I still got checked for sexually transmitted diseases, though, and I'm clean. Yay. As for our polyamory friends, they apparently were the ones who suggested he go down the polyamory road. I stopped talking to them for now. I'll deal with the bigger problem first. I told him his actions hurt me deeply, and that while I appreciated him admitting his affair, it was still infidelity. I told him what you guys said, that turning it into polyamory was merely green-lighting the affair after the fact. That polyamory should be built on mutual trust and communication, which he already broke. That I didn't feel respected. It destroyed him. He said he already knew, deep down, but didn't want to admit it. Neither to me, nor to himself. We both screamed and cried a lot. He finally admitted he wanted to open the marriage for selfish reasons. He is very sorry. He cut off contact with the other girl, let me fully access his computer and phone, and now wants to go to counseling to repair our relationship and marriage. He has shown me a lot of affection and attention since then, although he admits to himself it's sometimes out of guilt and not just out of pure love. And now I want to make it work too, but am I? Or is it a sunk cost fallacy? I don't know. Our first session is in 2 months, the earliest we could get. And every day I change my mind. Literally yesterday I wanted to leave him, while today I think it's worth giving it a try. Because we've known each other for so long, we understand each other on a very deep level, share a lot of interests, and have already built so much together. He was there for me during hard parts of my life. He took responsibility for his actions, and is really trying. Plus, if I leave him, I'd have to start my life nearly from scratch. Find a new place to live, go back to dating for the first time in 12 years. I don't want to lose everything. It sounds very hard and scary. Am I not too old for this? But at the same time, that's a form of denial, isn't it? It doesn't matter if those years were good, it's not going to be the same. Even if he gains my trust back, even if I forgive him, I'll never forget. I think he is genuinely remorseful, but isn't it too late for that? I am too empathetic. Him being present now doesn't erase what was done. Do I want to stay not because I still believe in this relationship, but because I don't have the strength to ask for a divorce? Because it's the easy choice, some kind of codependency? I have no idea. I can picture both paths clearly, and it's tearing me apart. I am lost, maybe even more than I was when I wrote my previous post. I've lost sleep and appetite, and I'm not sure I enjoy anything in my life anymore. I booked an appointment with a psychologist, for me alone, to help with this whole thing. I am sorry. At this point, I am rambling. I know I am the only one who can decide what's okay and comfortable for me or not. It's ultimately my choice, and my choice only. The emotional hell I am going through just makes thinking about that choice very hard and paralyzing. I'll go to both therapies and try to see what to do from here. I'll try to update, but it's probably going to take a while. I am sorry. I want to thank you again for your support, and I am sending you guys a lot of love. Edit. A couple of infos I should have mentioned but didn't because putting all of that into writing without omitting something is much harder than I thought. He cut off contact with her because once he told him he was married and wanted us both, she just ran away and broke up with him. There are times since then where my husband starts feeling sad or angry because of what's basically withdrawal. And for that he's smart, at least sensible enough not to blame me. What kind of marriage did we have before this crisis? It will sound so naive. It's my first and only romantic relationship. We were very close and basically grew as adults together. We could talk about anything and understand each other. We shared the same values and interests. What changed, I think, is that we got into a routine and he got bored. During our argument he said he was addicted to the attention the girl was giving him and that he felt I didn't show him I was in love with him enough anymore. I told him that even if it was true, he should have told me instead of having an affair. On one hand I have my faults too and I could accept this as one of them. On the other I was taking care of him and the house while he was sick. I don't think he believes it. I don't think he means it. But it makes me wonder whether I was actually a good wife for him, even though I am not responsible for his actions. Thanks again for your support, y'all. It's a lot to process, but it helps me so much. Relevant comments OP on if she and her husband have kids and plans on getting counseling. OP, kids are off the table. If we do go into counseling, and it goes exceptionally well, maybe we'll talk about it. But for now, the distrust is already there. He says I love you, but I never know whether it's to regain my trust, whether he means it or not. Even if he does he love me or is it a lie he tells himself? Dog of the bone. If you choose to stay, don't be surprised if in a year you find him talking to someone again. Cheaters are sneaky. They'll show remorse and swear they've changed. Meanwhile they're smirking inside because they've started a new affair and think they can get away with it this time. OP. Thank you. It's obvious and well known. Once a cheater, always a cheater. But reading it helps me fight denial. I really need to break up with him. If not for myself, just to show him that actions have consequences. Final update. Too long, didn't read, we are divorcing, hooray. Trigger warning, emotional affair, manipulation, self-harm threats, psychological abuse. Hey, I hope you are doing well. A huge amount of things have happened since then. I'll quickly summarize. Feel free to check my profile if you want to know more. It was a very unpleasant ride. So, my soon-to-be ex-husband had an emotional affair online and tried to make me greenlight it by asking for an open marriage, where we'd be allowed to have side adventures. I refused and his affair partner dumped him. He begged me to try to reconcile with him, to which I agreed, while I was actually trying to prepare my exit. We both went to individual therapy, still am. We separated temporarily 3 times, but every time I came back it went terribly. He was desperate. He kept trying to cross my boundaries, love bombing me, playing the victim, asking to touch me even though I established I didn't want to, threatening to kill himself if we were to divorce. I could go on and on. This made me finally realize, along with my therapist's help, a lot of self-reflection and my exchanges on Reddit, that I was in an abusive relationship. Which is an important part, actually the most important part, of this update. Please look up definitions and examples of abuse, because I had no idea that what my husband had been doing all these years, even before the affair, counted as such. In his case it was psychological abuse, manipulation, gaslighting, guilt tripping, blame shifting, emotional blackmail. Nothing aggressive or mean. Which turned me into a very submissive partner over the years, always catering to his needs while erasing mine. I rationalize everything. It happened subtly and gradually and I was too naive to see it for what it was. His emotional affair and open marriage proposal were the natural continuity of that. Of course, the more I tried to get away from him, the more manipulative he got. Now that I was aware of it, I knew what he was doing. But fighting years of conditioning, even if you recognize it and succeed, is fucking exhausting and disarming. So, earlier today, I brought a friend home to assist me. We sat down, the 3 of us, and I told my husband we were over and I handed him the papers. It might sound dumb, but it's genuinely one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I was terrified. Yet he agreed. He repeatedly asked me if I was sure. He reminded me of the family we were planning to have and of our best memories together. Was it all for nothing? Apparently, yes. He was heartbroken, clearly mad and frustrated. But still, he agreed. He signed them and went back to his parents for now. We still have to go through the whole procedure, separate our assets, decide what to do with the house and all. And he still wants us to go to marriage counseling. but right now, I feel free. For the first time in months. The last hours have been a mix of tears, celebration, and godly, restful sleep. And I have to thank you guys again. Because my first Reddit post was the wake-up call I needed to eventually, finally, get here. Better late than never. Thank you so much. Lots of love to you all. Relevant comments. Fionist_005. He reminded me of the family we were planning to have and of our best memories together. Was it all for nothing? Apparently yes. He was heartbroken. That's a special kind of asshole. Was it all for nothing? After cheating on his partner. He sounds like an insufferable dickhead, honestly. Congrats on your freedom. OP. I know, right? The hypocrisy. The nerves of this man. The worst part is that he appears very charming to everyone who knows him, myself included. Hell, a lot of people from our circle, who are aware of what he did, still think he's a good person who just lost himself for a while. I guess it's hard to accept that the ones we love can be terrible people too. Any decision 470. You have been through a long, hard journey, and it will take a while yet, but you are investing in yourself and your health and happiness. Good for you. Continue self-care, and practice safety and security. Slow down and heal so that you will be strong and ready to seek and recognize true love. Wishing you a joyous future. You can do this. OP. Thank you. I'll do my best. I like to think the hardest part is behind me, but this story taught me to expect the worst. Whatever happens though, from now on, it's me first. I deserve love and happiness, and I'll fight for it.
My mom tried to force a reconciliation between my sister and me, but it backfired. Now, I don't know if I want her in my life anymore. I started dating my brother's best friend when I was 16. We were together until I graduated high school, when he proposed and I rejected it. There was a lot of drama, with my family asking me to reconsider because we could have a long engagement, or make a promise to reconcile. My relationship with my brother, 36, suffered for a while, but the one with my sister, 32, never recovered. She was sure my ex was the best fit for me and became unbearable when she started dating my ex's brother. My ex was invited everywhere by my siblings, even to some family holidays, but I didn't say anything since he was their friend too. That is until my sister started to push for us to get back together. My sister did everything from trying to get us on blind dates to making us share a room during holidays. No matter the occasion, my ex was invited to it. After a while I had enough and asked my parents to intervene. They were clear with my siblings and stopped inviting my ex to things or allowing him to tag along so much. It was slightly better, but while my brother backed off, my sister didn't. It all came to a crash when I met my husband during a semester abroad. He was from another university but the same country, and we just clicked. It was magical for me, and we got engaged after dating for a year. My family was very happy for me, except my sister. She kept insisting I was in the honeymoon phase and will grow out of it. I clearly didn't, and after many, can't express enough how many fights and attempts to reunite me with my ex, I simply let her know if she pulled anything again I will stop talking to her. What does she do after that warning? Makes me her MOH and requests I spend all my time with the bridal party, aka my ex, and sets one of her friends as my husband's date. We didn't realize until we were at the reception and the poor girl tried to make a pass at my husband. My sister said that since we are not married, it was okay to explore things with other people. I left the party and the next day spoke with my parents and brother, explained that while I won't make them choose, I will not talk to my sister ever again, and if they try to fix stuff between us, I will simply cut contact with them too. My mom was devastated and tried to negotiate, but my dad and brother said they would respect my decision, and apart from 2 attempts from my mom, I haven't spoken, written, or anything with my sister in the past 6 years. My sister has tried everything to reconcile with me. From gifts to tantrums, but I simply don't talk to her at all. If we are at a family event or dinner, I simply act like she doesn't exist. At first she made snarky comments or tried to create drama, but since nobody backed her up, she gave up. She did have a meltdown when she was informed she was invited to my wedding but would not be part of any preparation. My brother says he feels guilty for going along with it for so long, and his relationship with my ex has suffered since my ex. They still talk, but they are not as close anymore. The issue. My mom's birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and I finally announced we are expecting our first child. This is not the first grandchild, but is the first granddaughter. Everybody was very happy except my sister. My mom noticed that and asked me for tea the other day. My sixth sense told me not to go, but I wanted to be positive. The first thing I noticed when I arrived was my sister's car. Then as I entered the door there was my sister, her husband, my ex and my ex-male. They wanted to have an intervention since my childish tactic has gone for so long. My ex said that he was just trying to be romantic but he understands I couldn't appreciate it. His mom said I was just hurting my sister for wanting the best for me and she apologized already so I need to forgive her. I was just sending texts to my family, dad, brother, husband, and looking at my mom in disbelief. My Bill had the balls to tell me I was a hurtful person and I need to learn how to act like an adult since I'm having a baby now. Then my mom began reading a letter about how hurt she was that her daughters weren't close, how my sister was wrong but she was well intended, etc. Then my sister read her letter and began crying and telling me basically another version of what the rest did. I said nothing to anybody, just sat there until my brother arrived. He was angry beyond anything I've ever seen before. He grabbed my stuff and told them all he was really disappointed and disgusted. We went outside and sat in his car until my dad and husband arrived. By then I was just sobbing and he kept saying sorry. I am unsure what happened there but I sent everybody, except mom, an email with my lawyer's number info attached and stated I don't wish to be contacted by any of them ever again and if they do I will go to the police. Nobody has contacted me but I know from my dad my mom and sister are hysterical. They told him they hope to repair things and for my sister to be able to be in my baby's life, maybe possibly being a godmother. My dad is staying with my brother at the moment, they support me but some others in the family don't. I've even had mutual friends call me since they are worried about my sister's well-being and asking me what happened since she is now going by the narrative that my husband is keeping me away from my family. I hate having my business in public but I did go the public road and posted a long FB post about everything that happened. Sister, BIL and X are being dragged which even if it wasn't 100% intended I feel is deserved. Now, my mom has been inconsolable, which does make me feel bad but not as bad as she made me feel with her little intervention. I agreed to have a talk with her a couple of days ago and laid the ground rules for any possible future interaction, including therapy, family therapy, clear boundaries, no sharing information about me with my sister, and separate holidays. Most important, if she ever pulls anything like this again she will for sure be cut off. She feels this is too much but is willing to do it. She thought it meant immediate access to baby news and it is all solved but I told her it is a process and she needs to prove she has improved. My dad and brother refuse to talk to my sister and they keep apologizing for not stopping it earlier. We've forgiven them since they were able to move on and grow. My husband supports whatever I decide but my MIL is unsure cutting my mom's access to her granddaughter is the way to go but says it is ultimately my decision. I am torn about what to do with my mom. Relevant comments. Commenter. What is their logic? Like now that you're pregnant, you should stop playing make-believe with your husband and realize your happiness ever after is with your ex. What about your baby? Your ex and his family are gonna accept her. OP, my sister claims she is not trying to get us together anymore but that I can't take away her chance to be an aunt. She says I'm a bad sister for being close with my SILs, who are amazing people. I obviously don't believe her. My issue is what to do with my mom. Commenter, she couldn't be your best friend without you dating your ex? OP, I wish I could tell you but I have no idea what her thought process is. My husband has the theory she is just mentally unwell. The ex, the most ridiculous and scary thing is he still has the mixtapes, CDs, I made him when we were dating. Those things are about 20 years old and he still holds on to them. Commenter, I'm kind of surprised your stalker ex, and yes I will call him that, is still in your brother's life. That said, hold firm with your mother. No timelines. She has to show she can stick to your rules. Sister needs to live with the consequences of her actions. OP. To be fair to my brother he did start to cut him off when I told my parents I was very uncomfortable with my ex around all the time. I was living away for college but would visit my family during breaks. He also made a very big effort to make my husband feel welcome which deteriorated his relationship with my ex even more because he felt betrayed by my brother. Nowadays my husband is one of my brother's closest friends and he only speaks with my ex when it is about our nephew or to not be rude. Commenter, you need to realize that your mom is supporting all of this. A big reason Big Sis is continuing this is because she knows your mom also thinks it's right. OP, this makes me very sad since my mom was always so nice to my husband and now I am reevaluating their whole relationship. OP's background and culture, not Indian nor from a religious family. My parents were good, nice parents. They thought it was a romantic thing at the beginning but later realized it wasn't. They encouraged me to go to college and everything. Now I know my dad actually supported me and my mom might have just played along and have the same beliefs as my sister. My sister had this idea we would be best friends married to brothers. Update 1. The edit I wanted to post but couldn't, I want to thank you for the amount of support and advice so far. I want to give a little more info that is in my comments since there are too many for me to answer them all individually. My ex and I broke up when I was 18, he is 37 now. The reason for our breakup was that I didn't want to get married or engaged. My sister's insistence comes from the fixation of wanting the both of us to marry brothers and being best friends. My mom has always been so nice to my husband, but I am beginning to think it was all a facade, which makes me very sad. My ex has been with people since the breakup. He also has 2 kids with an ex, but he's never been married. My sister says that is a very romantic thing to do since he has only ever wanted to marry me. I should also mention his obsessive behavior is not only with me. I know from the grapevine he was very similar with the mother of his children, but now he is refocusing on me because my sister is encouraging it since she needs his help on getting back in my good graces so she can be a good aunt. My brother did start to cut him off when I told my parents I was very uncomfortable with my ex around all the time. I was living away for college but would visit my family during breaks. He also made a very big effort to make my husband feel welcome, which deteriorated his relationship with my ex even more because he felt betrayed by my brother. Nowadays my husband is one of my brother's closest friends and he only speaks with my ex when it is about our nephew, sister's son, or to not be rude. Both my parents seem to be supportive of me not wanting to be around my ex so much, but I guess only my dad was in agreement. On the day of the tea party my mom told him she was making me my favorite tea and sweets, but he couldn't stay since we would have quality time together. My dad left to go hang with my uncle since he thought it was a nice sentiment from my mom. He's very pissed off. My husband tried very hard with my sister when they met, but now he just ignores her and believes she is mentally unwell. We don't know if she is or not, still there is no excuse for how she behaves. They invited the ex and his mom because they thought it would be good for me to face the root of my issues with my sister, or at least their official version. Also, we are not Indian, not really religious, my husband and I are from the same race. There is also no wealth disparity between my ex and my husband, if there is it would be in favor of my husband. Lastly, my CLs, both my brother's wife and husband's sisters, are enraged about the situation. My husband and his sisters will be talking with their mom about her comment. My brother and his wife are considering going NC with my mom permanently. In the meanwhile they will not allow her to see my nephews for a bit. The more I read, the more I think I might have to go NC with my mom for the sake of my kid. My husband is heartbroken to think all their interactions were fake, but says he is even more enraged she made me cry and doubt I was a good person. I realize there are still countless conversations to have with my family about my mom, but I will definitely be going for a restraining order against my sister and the ex. The proper semi-update. The state of my family so far. I had a conversation with my mother, but she insists she knew best. I am a bad person and she will be getting grandparents' rights or even custody. I don't know what she said, but I still panicked, so we sent her a letter about it. My dad moved out definitely. He told her that he could not sign on to her terrorizing his kid. My brother and his wife also decided to go to NC. I know it seems very sudden, but I think I understood the level of despair I had after the intervention. My husband told them afterward they had to think very well about what they appreciated and to be kind and receptive to everything, but would not raise a kid on a toxic environment. Reason 3271637 why I love my husband. My husband is very heartbroken about my mom and her fakeness. He says she will never get anything from it. That is as much as revenge goes here. My husband and sisters talked to my MIL about her comment and made her understand why it was very out of it, as many of you assume she is a very loving mom, from a loving family. My dad and brother keep apologizing for any role they played in this. My dad can't believe it went to this point. He says it is still surreal for him. Regardless, they support me no matter what and say they are willing to help me fight whatever ridiculous fight my mom or sister put up. Update 2. I want to thank the lovely messages and encouraging words. I decided to post it here so it wouldn't be deleted like the original was. Things are great and horrible at the same time, but I'm trying to remain positive about everything. My brother and his wife sat my nephews down and explained that grandma was ill and tried to hurt Auntie Diamond and the little cousin. They explained grandma would not be part of their lives anymore, but that doesn't mean she doesn't love them. It was really hard, but the kids are smart. They were also told another aunt is no longer in their life, but they don't care because they dislike her. Not because of me alone, simply because she is not exactly great with them either. My mom lost it when she was informed and started claiming she had rights and she will get to see her grandchildren. My dad is looking for a permanent place but will stay with us until January, mainly due to my brother's MIL coming to visit and us having the space. He is really sad, has called divorce lawyers already, moved bank stuff, etc. He has been getting countless emails, messages and calls from my mom, but he doesn't reply to anything. The lawyer told him to not block her right now. He considered maybe forgiving her, but I got a huge spike in my blood pressure a couple days after my last post here, because she decided to come to my place with my sister. My sister had never been to my home. My mom knew I didn't want her there, but I guess that doesn't matter anymore. The cleaning lady let them in since she knows my mom, and I haven't had the time to inform her she was not allowed to come in anymore. I was just coming from some errands and I saw the car. This time I didn't get in. I called all of my relatives, and my husband's sister was the one closer to me. She confronted them and told them either they leave or I call the police on them for trespassing. They left and I started feeling bad. We went to the doctor and they told me all the excitement was not good and I need to start relaxing or it would hurt the baby. My dad went home with my brother, uncle and my husband and took every single thing he could think of. My husband says my sister was there too and she kept screaming at him that he destroyed her family. My dad told my mom and sister they almost killed the baby and he also doesn't want to talk to any of them again. My sister kept sending messages to my brother, begging for help, but it did not happen. I am devastated and very sad for my nephew since he is losing so much of his family because his mother has some wacky ideas, but it is what it is. As per the custody and grandparent rights my mom wants to throw around so much, my lawyer sent her a letter stating she caused harm to my health and the baby, and if she keeps harassing me it will become an official legal matter. My brother also sent her a letter accusing her of harassing me. Both, mom and sister, have refused to go to therapy. They might be mentally ill, but with all of this coming to light it is obvious they have been in agreement for a long time. I will focus on spending the holidays with my family, being healthy and going to therapy. Update 3. Hi. I've received some requests for an update and had a little time, so decided it could be a good fit. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart from your comments, messages and every advice, because I feel we owe you for being even more paranoid than we were being. A couple people asked me what method we used to know the gender of the baby. I announced it after 20 weeks. The reason for waiting so long is we have experienced a loss in the past, which we were preparing to announce when it happened, and we wanted to be sure and have a safe feeling about the announcement. Also, we were naive enough to think it would be special for my mom. And you were right. After posting I handed it to my husband and he read your messages, comments, and advice for some days. We swiped the house and thankfully found nothing but felt extremely unsafe, so we went to a hotel with my dad. But then we realized there was a tracker on my fur baby's vest. He is a very small dog and gets cold a lot, so he has a funny vest. Never in a million years would I have thought of looking there. But we discovered the tracker when my dad walked him around the hotel area and my sister came and asked him about me and reconciliation. I was really upset, so we decided to move. Thankfully we can afford it. We are renting at the moment and also renting out our place, so it is not just empty. I used to love that house, but now I feel it is ruined and tainted somehow. Sadly, my parents' house feels the same, and not only for me. We all, brother, husband, dad, and even my husband's family, changed our numbers, got new electronics and notified employers, friends and police. We also started therapy and family therapy. My dad and brother feel extreme guilt over the situation even if I've truly forgiven them, but we are healing as a unit. My sister and mom insist they are not wrong and they don't need therapy. My dad made a new will in which my sister's son gets a trust fund and some inheritance, but my sister gets a token amount. He is truly done with her. I was feeling bad for her, but I decided to focus my energy on my baby. She is here and we are blessed. It is not the experience I thought of since my mom is not around me anymore, but so many friends and family members have truly surprised us. By the end we were so paranoid we started testing some people we were unsure of, telling them I was going into labor. It worked like a charm. We discovered who was still feeding info to my mom and sister and cut them out. The rest understood when we explained the reasoning. My ex, whom my friends now call Bates, went around saying the baby was his cause. We've been having a torrid affair due to my undying love for him. Nobody believes him anymore, but it made my husband contact Bates's employer and tell him about all the craziness. Long story short, he was put on a suspension pending internal reviewing. I am almost positive he will be fired since they have asked us for more and more info and they seem really apologetic. My mom has tried to find us, but all the people that know of our location have gone NC with her. My dad's lawyer sent her a letter stating that due to her instability all correspondence will be through lawyers now. It has been us and my dad because I felt so bad for him being alone. He has promised he will be fine and nothing is my fault, but I still feel awful. He has been the best babysitter, feeder, diaper changer in the universe. My nephews are loving as always, and my dad even got a visit with my sister's son. It came about because she kept making videos threatening to hurt herself if my husband didn't stop alienating her family, so my dad emailed her about seeing her son and told her he would call the police about her threats, so that seems to have stopped it. Lastly, someone brought up Bates's false hope. It can't be further from the truth. I spent years uncomfortable because I thought he would move on. Then after I spoke up and then met my husband, I spent such a long time fighting my sister about it. I had a very long engagement, which is why I married after my sister. I still love my mom and sister, but I choose a healthy life for me and my family over that love. I have discovered a lot of loyalty, love and compassion through this whole thing. As strange as it may seem, I feel lucky it all exploded. Hopefully it is not much of a ramble. Big hugs from me. Update 4. We officially moved into a new house, with my dad moving into the guest house. We had many discussions both in and outside therapy, and we decided that while it would be good for him to be with us, we all still need our space. We are still renting out the old place and will be deciding what to do later. My dad has the grandchildren all together about 3 times a week now. He still has to see my sister's kid separately since she refused to let him take the kid unless she knew where he lived, which to be fair is a normal thing, but considering she is crazy, we don't want her close. My mom complained to the lawyers about how unfair it is. My dad still gets to see all grandchildren, but there is nothing she can do about it. About a month ago, my dad told me he had a confession and my stomach started hurting. Dear reader, he pays for my nephew's, sister's kids' schooling and babysitting, which is why she still allows him to see him. He felt so guilty for hiding it and didn't want to keep secrets. I assured him it was nothing wrong and to please don't feel bad. On Mother's Day, my dad got an email with a link to an Instagram account in which they made a sad video about my mom and how most of her family has abandoned her and how much of a saint my sister is for being there for her. It was really pathetic and enraged me, but I just sent it to the lawyer. Dad officially filed for divorce in May and the process is still ongoing. My mom insists he is wrong, but my dad said he'd rather drink bleach than go back to her, so I think that is final. My brother and husband took my dad out for Father's Day and had a blast. My sister posted many things that day, but they managed to block my dad from even learning about it because we wanted him to enjoy it. They also did a camping trip with the kids, aka went to a hotel, got a suite and put a tent in the middle area for the kids and a little tippy for the baby. Honestly, having a baby is one of the best things that have happened to me, and seeing my husband being the amazing father I knew he would be makes me so happy. It is tiring, but we have so much support. I feel grateful beyond anything because I have my rocks on my side. My SILs and I now get to have a little calendar on sharing things. All the kids get to do things that are age appropriate, and if they want to. We want to let them all know they do not need to hang out with people they dislike and their voices matter. Right now they are all obsessed with baby and say they are her protectors. And we get little get-togethers, brunch, etc. Honestly, having family time is now a pleasure and not a headache without my sister there. I know it is wrong to say, but she just sucks the positivity out of the room. My MIL also loves having time with the baby and stays in the guest room about once a week. She asked politely and said she didn't want to take the baby for sleepovers or anything. I feel respected and heard by her, and yes, have broken down sometimes because I miss my mom a lot. I miss the mom I had or thought I had, not the one that told me I would be a terrible mother or was a hateful woman. My therapist says it's a marathon and to focus on the good. Speaking about good, Bates was terminated. Not only that, but his reputation in his industry was not only damaged but nuclear level damaged. So was his brother's, but because Bill is not in an industry that cares as much about reputation, he still has his job as far as I know. Bates sent me a 12-page, double-sided, seemingly single-space letter about how hurt he is. I am denying him what's his, and my husband is so threatened by him that he had to go and destroy him professionally because he would not be able to destroy anything else. I said it seemed because I didn't read it, my lawyer did and gave me a summary. I also heard from the grapevine. No, I don't ask people, they just tell me since they know he is stalking me, that the mother of his children moved and he didn't even care and said it was for the best. This man doesn't even care about his kids and wants to play with baby and me. Sadly, he won't be homeless or anything because mommy already let him move back in with her, so I doubt he will learn anything from this. Not the flashiest of updates, but just what is. Oh, and my husband burnt or donated every single item given to him by my mom or my parents with my dad's blessing. He says life is too short to give her space in his life even with memories. Relevant comments. Commenter, I am really glad you are coming through all that with the good bits of your family very intact. I don't really get the firing part. I get Bates is a bad dude, but has he ever done anything that has relevance or a connection to his work? OP. Without giving up his industry. It is a very close-knit one, and when you get a bad reputation it sunks you. He was thought of as a nice but distant nice feminist single dad before this. He even told some co-workers I was with him for longer than we were. Commenter. Op, I am reading your full post from the best of Reddit at 1:30 a.m. from my home in India, and I have respect and sorry for what you've faced, and I hope your child grows to be healthy and nice as you both. Also, I hope this whole fiasco is over soon and you can be back with your mother after her ex fantasy is over. Respect for you. Keep fighting, OP. That is a lovely sentiment, but I will never talk to my mom again. I miss her a lot. I cry a lot. She is not the person I thought she was, and the baby deserves the best family we can get, and my mom is not part of it. It breaks my heart, but I need to protect the baby. OP comments on the second Boru post. I came to check the comments since Tequilitas told me the sub was full of nice people but so many snarky ones. I won't give more identifying info, but Bates is supposed to work with vulnerable people, which is why my husband contacted their employer. As for the money thing, we all come from well-to-do backgrounds for saying something, so I never thought he would suffer for money, but he also will never learn anything. New update. I have some updates for you, but first I want to thank you for all your comments and messages. Every time I log into this account I am bombarded by mostly positive things, and I appreciate it a lot. I am unsure if anybody will read this, but for those who want updates they are mainly good ones. With that out of the way, let's get to it. My parents are divorced now, after many fights and tantrums from my mother. She kept the house and got a bulk payment, but that is it. My dad is like a new man and we are all so happy for him. A little throwback. When all the drama happened we did not fire our cleaning lady. This is a woman that had been helping my husband's family for decades, and I was very stressed out about her being out of work because of what my crazy family did. Also, we are not slobs and she is not polishing floors on her knees or anything like that. In any case, my dad spoke with her and told her she was on paid vacation and until we had a new house to please wait for us if she wanted, but she was absolutely not fired. She was really happy about it and so was her family. My dad started to get food and stuff from them from time to time because they were so thankful about what he was doing for them. Well, she has a sister, who owns her own nail salon, and my dad is dating her now. She is a very lovely woman and has grown children, so she understands the dynamics happening sometimes. He has been very clear he is not moving or marrying, and she is pleased with that because she likes her independence. My mother nearly had a stroke when she heard about his new relationship and kept saying it was a late midlife crisis and he had to resort to being a sugar daddy. This is obviously what I heard because I don't have any contact with her. But last I heard she is having a hard time. She is struggling because she was never good at budgeting and relied on my dad to put a stop on ridiculous purchases. My sister is also struggling because my dad is not helping her with money anymore. You'll see, he was willing to keep helping for the sake of my nephew, but then things got very rough. My nephew started calling my kid an affair baby, how she is not with her real dad, called my other nephews delusional, and during a birthday party he even pushed one of my nephews on my husband's side saying they were not my kid's cousins, only he was. The kids were perplexed and so confused, but immediately told an adult about it. My dad spoke with him, but he kept repeating it. He spoke with my sister and she said she could do nothing to prevent a kid from telling the truth, and didn't all kids always tell the truth? He told her until there is a chance he is cutting them off. She panicked and cried, but she is also super stubborn, so now my nephew goes to public school because my husband made my dad cut them off. Bates, well, he is still unemployed. I know I was cryptic about it, but he was in an industry related to vulnerable women and some of it related to stalking. Irony much, that's why he was fired. The organization he was in didn't want this to splash on them. I have received 2 more very long handwritten rambling letters from him, and since he only has my lawyer's address, guess who has the honor of receiving, reading and file those ramblings? I love my lawyer and he is a champ. Apart from that and the gossip, I have not had bad issues related to him except for one. I was at the grocery store and a random woman came over to ask if my kid was Bates's baby. I was speechless and shocked. I asked her what she was on and she said he has a photo of us on his profile and I should be ashamed of myself for hurting such a good man. Turns out he is still going by the narrative my kid is his and I loved him so much. That is all old news, but at the end what shocked me the most was the pic comment. This is not a photo that has been public or anything like that. It was sent to a family group once and that is it. I told my husband immediately and he was enraged but composed, so we decided to smoke out the rat. Long story short, it was my dad's 2 sisters feeding info to my mom. My dad was so disappointed but also had no doubts cutting them off. They are still begging him to talk to them again. My brother and his family are doing great. We see them a lot and have been on some family holidays since the last update. They are also in NC with my mom and sister. My SIL is actually super happy about it because it turns out she was not a fan of our mom but kept the peace. My in-laws keep being lovely as well. We allow Mill overnight babysitting now too and she is over the moon with it. Sometimes she has all her grandchildren under the same roof and they are all delighted to be with her. She is a former flight attendant, so their favorite game is to pretend to be an airplane. Overall they love her and we know she is good without kids, so we do not worry. She had to make her socials private because my mom kept stalking her. I am sure she is extremely jealous, but she made her own bed. Lastly, my husband keeps me sane whenever little things come up. We are thinking if we should have another baby or maybe adopt one. We are still undecided. We have a great support system and the privilege to have these conversations. I still miss my mom a lot. I sometimes cry when I realize there are milestones I can no longer share with her, but she is a bad person and the safety of my family matters more. Last fun fact, this Father's Day they actually went camping. It went great apart from the mosquito bites and some ill-placed sunburns. Relevant comments. Could Bates ask for a paternity test? Report the photo. We already did a paternity test, not with Bates but with my husband. We never ever had doubts obviously, but my lawyer suggested having it done in case he claimed it. The photo incident was a while back and we already took it off his Facebook page. I didn't want to go further because I don't want to see him again. Editor's note. Well aware I wrote the wrong years when labeling, was focused more on trying to get the time between posts correct. That's fixed now, thanks to those of you who were polite about it.
My fiance is taking my last name. His parents are threatening not to come to our wedding. How do we handle this? January 31st, 2024. My fiance, Alex, 21 years old, and I, 22 years old, have been together for 6 years and are getting married this year. I never cared much about my last name, but after some recent family events, I realized I want to keep mine. Alex didn't mind and chose to change his last name so we'd match. Upon finding out, Alex's parents, Lisa and Luke, yelled at him. Lisa cussed him out, so my parents let him stay with us for the last week of winter break. We were home on break from college and live a few miles apart. Lisa and Luke say Alex is destroying and disowning his family, publicly humiliating them, and claim I'm stripping him of his manhood. They told us we're unbiblical and that women should submit. To them, it's political too. They said the queer community is the reason we're susceptible to this. Transgender people are to blame, and America is in its downfall. This is just another sign. Alex has received many texts from Lisa, calling him hateful, cruel, and cold, asking how he can let her suffer. The meetings Alex had with his parents went poorly. They told him they wanted to see him and not talk about the name, but then did. One meeting involved both sets of parents. Lisa and Luke talked 90% of the time before getting up and leaving. They're mad Alex stayed with us and said even if we go with his name they'd resent us and my family for supporting us. Lisa threatened to cut Alex off, saying he won't get another penny. They had planned to contribute to our wedding, stating there were no strings attached and they fund his college apartment. Lisa said this is the worst thing to happen to her since losing her first baby, and that it's worse than if Alex had gotten me pregnant, killed someone drunk driving, or was gay. She's telling Alex that his grandparents will have to move to assisted living from heartbreak, and Luke keeps telling Alex his choice is hurting people. Their main reason seems to be that it is tradition and that they want the last name carried on. It's not an uncommon last name. I also learned that Lisa borderline tried to talk Alex out of proposing. Alex asked me to marry him anyway, and Lisa called my mom in the midst of the engagement excitement to share her disapproval. They said that they get a say until Alex is married, and that's when they'll leave us be. Lisa and Luke keep texting Alex and my parents, but I have never received anything. They openly dislike me now, bad-mouthing me whether I'm there or not. I've decided my relationship with Lisa and Luke is over. It was rocky before as they tried to push their religion onto me numerous times. Alex is deciding how much more he can give. He hasn't taken a harsh tone or spoken rudely to his parents, but is tired. Now his parents say if Alex won't move back home, their financial support ends. They say the family won't come to the wedding, and one of his siblings has actually left the wedding party. Obviously, I have decided to stay mostly away from Lisa and Luke now, but they are Alex's family. With the wedding still coming up, we're unsure how to move forward. Too long, didn't read. My male fiance is taking my last name. His parents are freaking out because I'm the woman and should take him. The verbal and emotional abuse are out of control, and they're threatening not to attend the wedding. Edit to add, Lisa and Luke's financial support is not necessary, and the wedding will proceed with or without it. Just thought it relevant to point out that the money that was offered no strings attached clearly does have strings. We know we are young and are still getting married after spending 6 years together. Postponing the wedding isn't something we're willing to do. Relevant comments. When asked if in-laws would accept both last names, the original poster, OOP, replied, "Apparently not, as his parents said it would make no difference." Since they aren't keen on using both names anyway, they decided against it. For instance, one commenter stated, "The only people that should be at your wedding are those who want to celebrate your relationship." It sounds like they don't. Another person remarked, "It seems he has valid reasons for not wanting to be associated with that last name anymore." Yes, it's unconventional, and people might look at him oddly for it, but they can just mind their own business. If you're happy and he's happy, that's all that matters. Furthermore, someone suggested, stop discussing it until after the wedding. For the rest of your life, stop sharing details about your lives with these people. Have your fiancé agree to gray rocking them moving forward, or there will be arguments about baby names and other issues in the future. The first time anyone knew my baby's name was in our birth announcement. Additionally, another commenter advised, simply say, "We will miss you." Any other response will only encourage them to meddle more in the future. Moreover, a user pointed out, your future in-laws are acting like overgrown toddlers. For both your sakes, I hope they go no contact with both of you forever, because the loss of their financial support is a small price to pay for freedom from their controlling behavior. However, if they refuse to leave you alone, your fiancé will need to develop strong boundaries. You two should consider premarital counseling before planning much more of the wedding, as it's crucial to ensure you're prepared to handle your future together. OP responded, "The price is most certainly worth the freedom. We're looking into premarital counseling, thank you." Update July 7th, 2024, 5 months later. Alex and I got married last month, and everything was absolutely beautiful. Since my original post. After more months of emotional and verbal abuse, Alex made the difficult decision that his parents were no longer welcome at our wedding. He explained that he couldn't trust them to respect his boundaries, respect us at all, or respect what the event was about. As expected, they freaked out, asking if he was trapped and needed help. Saying everything had become about me, OP, and telling him he'd been isolated from everyone he loves. We're not sure what story they told Alex's extended family. Alex reached out to everyone to explain what had been going on, but every response he received was more disgust toward his name choice, refusal of wedding invitations, and saying he needed to apologize, grovel, and fix the family. Most of Lisa's family were the ones talking the most about how dishonorable he was being and how he was breaking apart the family. Interesting, seeing none of them share Lisa and Luke's last name. Luke's family does. Luckily, only one invitation was returned with nasty notes inside, but the rest of the digital responses took Lisa and Luke's side, berated Alex for doing this near the anniversary of the death of Lisa's first child, and called him cruel and hateful. For context, Lisa's first child passed away a few days after birth, over 25 years ago. Alex says there has never been any remembrance that he knows of, and they do nothing on the anniversary. He doesn't even know the date of the anniversary. Lisa and Luke explained what happened once when he was young, and never mentioned anything again. We're unsure why it's all coming back up now, after presenting as generally unimportant his whole life. Apparently, this drama being 4 months from the anniversary was disrespectful. His sister Alice also went off the rails. After checking in to see how Alex was doing, Alice got angry that he wanted to discuss things over text instead of on the phone. It became obvious that she wanted him on the phone to berate him, because she ranted about how he was steamrolling their parents and wasn't really an adult because he wasn't married yet. She said she had encouraged Lisa and Luke to cut him off long ago, and that I, OP, wasn't acting like family since I stopped letting her follow my Instagram account. This was after she dropped out as a bridesmaid and made it clear she didn't support our marriage. I decided not everyone gets full access to my life. As his only sibling, it was devastating for Alex to watch Alice spiral into fully taking their parents' side, after initially leading him to believe she had his back and was supportive. After saying not to expect her and Alex's bill at the wedding, there's been no further contact since Alice refuses to speak to him unless he'll talk on the phone. At this point, he won't do any phone calls as we'd rather have a record of everything that goes down. Many people tried to talk to Lisa and Luke, my own parents, mutual friends, etc., to encourage them to choose the relationship and explain that the damage they were causing wasn't worth the loss they'd endure. It seemed to have no effect. Alex was quick to become no longer financially dependent on his parents. We've changed his phone plan, reclaimed all his bills from Lisa and Luke, fully moved him out, and finished college. We're not sure if they attended graduation. They texted Alex the day before to say they'd be there, but then turned off their location services. Graduation day was stressful and nerve-wracking, with Alex not knowing if they'd make a scene or corner him. He left as soon as he walked across the stage and made it to his car with no interactions. Since then, as most Redditors suggested, we've been nearly no contact with Lisa and Luke. We spent the first 6 weeks of summer finishing wedding details, and our day last month was gorgeous. Alex received no communication between graduation and the wedding, and has no plans to continue their relationship without an apology. Lisa and Luke did not show up to the wedding or say anything on the day of. The only recent change is Lisa unfollowing and unfriending both of us and my family on all social media. For me, my in-law relationships are basically over, apology or not. Learning they'd never supported our engagement, ignoring my existence, and hating me because of my political and religious beliefs is enough for me not to keep contact. Thank you, Redditors, for your kind help and good wishes. Our day was truly perfect and straight out of a fairy tale, and we're looking forward to the next chapter of our lives, with hopefully less drama. Too long, didn't read? Parents were uninvited to the wedding. Sister flipped a switch. Currently no contact with all. Wedding day was beautiful and not dramatic. Relevant comments. One commenter remarked, "Wow, just wow. How can a whole family implode over something as ridiculous as a last name change?" Had I read the text without seeing it being about that, I'd have thought the young man at least had molested animals or children. Geez. Another observed, "That's because it's not about the last name. The last name was the straw that broke the camel's back." In the original post, OP said the in-laws already didn't like her. There is way more going on here than reported. A different perspective was shared. It sounds like they had total control over him and objected to losing the right to make his choices. Totally normal in small amounts when a kid reaches this stage of life, but for a certain kind of family, they can't let the baby grow up without severing everything. One user offered a warning, "Please be aware that if you are choosing to have children, they might come at y'all full force again. Be prepared." Another shared a personal anecdote. My friend's sister went through something similar. The couple had entertained the idea of creating a new family name and the groom's mom flipped out. Threatened to remove financial support, they didn't need it, and suddenly the racism came out after 10 years of holding it in. Suddenly the bride's family were those people, aka not white. It was a beautiful ceremony, the mom didn't show up and now she has to live with never seeing her only son. The irony is that the couple on their own decided that they weren't going to change it a few days before the wedding, but by then the groom went no contact due to the blatant disrespect and racism hurled at his wife's family. One congratulated the couple, saying, "Congratulations and I'm happy your wedding, and his graduation, went off without a hitch. I'm proud that he chose to stick to his wants rather than let his family bully him into submission. Stay no contact. Your lives will be more peaceful." Suggest some therapy for him if he's struggling with all this though. There are a lot of emotional issues that come with cutting family out. Best wishes to you both. Adding a practical point, another user said, "I don't understand why anyone, male or female, changes their name in the first place in the modern era. Huge pain in the ass to do so, especially with professional licenses, college records, SS, passports, and so on. But yeah, his family is going overboard, by a lot. I can see why he would change his name. Disassociate from the wackadoodles. Sorry for the family strife, but congratulations on the marriage." Another shared a light-hearted story. "My husband and I have joked about hyphenating our last names. 11 letters plus 9 letters, both convoluted Dutch names that are hard to spell. Well, hard for folks here in Canada which are in Amsterdam to pronounce my last name better than I can. LOL. No one has given us a hard time about both of us keeping our names. I think the only people who had any sort of comment on it were my parents, and that was just from a practicality standpoint. They've moved provinces a few times and mom had to bring name change documentation with her every time she changed her ID to reflect her current province. I was warned that it could be a potential headache if I changed my name, but that was it." Someone else shared their personal dilemma. "My partner has a name that's a bit funny in our language, derived from the name of a trade, and a pain to write and pronounce in English. Not so bad in our local language, just long, as it's also 11 letters. I work in an English-speaking environment, and trying to explain to people how to pronounce something similar to Hadzhiski doesn't sound very appealing. It's not the real name but has a lot of similar sounds. But if we marry, I would prefer to keep mine not so much because of the pronunciation. I just don't like how it sounds with my first name. Hyphenating sounds like a pain, and my full name would become 35 characters. However, if I kept my last name and we have kids with his last name, I will have to always carry a document proving the kids are mine. So no ideal solution here. His family likely won't be too happy if I kept mine, but they might just get over it if we finally marry. I think they gave up on any of their kids getting married years ago. We are all happily cohabiting without making it official. Adding another anecdote, a user said, "My dad died, and when my mom remarried, she kept my dad's name. She hated her maiden name and didn't want to take his long, convoluted last name. Her new husband didn't care at all. Nobody really cared. It's her name. She can do what she wants. I changed my name when I got married. It didn't last, and I just went back to my maiden name with no problem at all. My birth certificate goes first name, middle name, married last name, maiden name. So I can use my maiden without bureaucracy. I'm having the same thoughts as my mom. This is my name, and I'm keeping it." A user shared a modern perspective. "I think I'm going to encourage my kids to make up a new last name with their partners rather than pick one even. And doing it all over again, I might have chosen to do so with my wife too, but we share my last name. There are 4 last names associated with your grandparents, 8 with your great-grandparents, and double that for your SO2. And so my last name comes from some traceable line of sons only, okay? I don't think that makes them necessarily any cooler or more special than maternal ancestors, or my grandma's ancestors. Frankly, I'm sure a lot of the men in that particular line of my ancestry sucked anyway. I don't feel like there's a really strong genealogical attachment to any singular family name unless someone becomes famous enough to make it a brand. So I think people should just pick and build their own family name or choose one from the most recent approximately 16 that they feel the most proud of, attached to." Lastly, someone shared their personal experience with familial control. "It's very little to do with the name itself and everything to do with ownership. My husband and I double-barreled our last names to take each other's, so it was totally fair. And his parents still freaked the fuck out. It was nothing about the name or the fairness of the thing and everything to do with the fact it symbolized him growing as an autonomous adult, and they couldn't handle it. Which might be understandable, even if not acceptable if he was a young adult barely out of the house, but he was in his 30s with a career, property, and a PhD. But that didn't matter to them. In their eyes, children remain property and are mere accessories rather than people. My wife abandoned me to find herself 2 months ago, taking our savings. Now I'm rebuilding my life and preparing for divorce." Original post. October 27, 2023. My wife Mary's family has a history of developing dementia in their mid to late 50s. Her mother, grandmother, and several other relatives on her mother's side have experienced this condition. Mary's mother lived with us for 4 years until earlier this year, as her father has passed away. Our children are independent and have moved out. Our oldest daughter is in her final semester of college, and our younger child has enlisted. The past 4 years have been extremely challenging for us, our kids, our daughter moved back home temporarily during COVID, and our marriage. Living with someone with dementia is incredibly difficult. Over the last year, we frequently discussed using the remaining college funds and our regular savings, selling or renting out our house, as we were ready to downsize, quitting our jobs, and traveling for a year or until the money ran out. We just needed to wait for Mary's mom to move into a care home. I understood her anxiety about developing dementia, and I was burned out. Enduring COVID while working remotely, with a wife also working remotely, a college student and a high school student taking remote classes, and a mother-in-law with dementia was very challenging. When a space finally opened up at a care facility, we were able to move Mary's mom there. I thought I would finally get a chance to relax. However, after Mary's mom moved out, Mary's mental health declined significantly. I went from caring for her mom to caring for her. She felt immense guilt about placing her mom in a home, and experienced severe anxiety about developing dementia herself. Our plan was to start traveling in the summer of 2024. 2 months ago, I came home to find a note from Mary. My friends call it Exhibit A. The note said she was going on our trip without me. She had quit her job, taken most of our savings, and was not sure when she would return, maybe in a year, maybe sooner. She wrote that she knew I would understand. Her location services are turned off, and my calls go directly to voicemail. I sent a picture of the note to our children via text. We have separate checking accounts for the direct deposit of our paychecks, but we would transfer most of the money into a joint account to cover household bills and savings. Both of us had access to the main savings account. We also had joint credit cards for household expenses, and the 2 cars and mortgage were jointly owned. In addition, we each had our own small savings accounts, retirement accounts equally funded, and personal credit cards for gifts and leisure activities. I have now closed all joint cards and accounts. I waited a month to see if she would return, hoping it would be before she spent all our savings. After receiving only one text message during the first month, I consulted a lawyer. She informed me that there was very little to do at the moment, aside from changing the beneficiaries of my retirement accounts and life insurance. This way, my wife would get nothing else if I died alone while she is off on our adventures. Since only a month had passed, there was no way to serve her papers. My lawyer advised me to continue paying the mortgage and car loans because the cost of getting a judge to approve the sale of joint assets would be higher than making the payments. I did not want to ruin my credit by letting one of our cars get repossessed, but I also could not sell it since she is on the title. I receive random texts from her, and she occasionally posts on Instagram, with comments turned off, of course. I want to block her so badly, but my lawyer advised that it is better to maintain a communication channel that does not involve our kids. Her last post was from Hawaii, where she commented on what a great husband I was for letting her take this trip. Meanwhile, I am struggling to pay for 2 cars, a mortgage, household bills, and insurance, all while hoping no emergencies arise since I have no savings left. And she is out there enjoying our trip. F you her. I'm so mad at her. I spent 4 years helping take care of her mom, and then took care of her when she fell apart after her mom moved into a memory care home. And how does she thank me? By abandoning me. Now, I will never get to take this trip, and I have to delay my retirement. The only silver lining is that the kids are mad at her too, though they will probably forgive her eventually. Double F her. I am not stupid. She is definitely hooking up with guys. She looks good and won't have any trouble finding men. I texted her asking if she was sleeping around, and a week later she replied saying she was not. Yeah, right. So, here I am, drinking alone on a Friday night, while she is probably on some beach, living it up. Triple F her. Edit. Fix typos. Edit. 2. My lawyer gave me tons of advice and options, but it was way too much to cram into this post. I could push harder and probably will have to eventually, but all that legal stuff is super expensive. Finding her, serving her, getting a judge to sign off all costs a lot. I will follow up soon and talk about the savings and my finances. It only hit me how much I need to worry about money after paying all the bills and seeing how little is left. Relevant comments. One commenter pointed out that by thanking him for letting her take the trip, she is essentially saying, "When I get tired of living the single life, I will come back to the comfort and security of married life." The commenter suggested that when she returns, he should say, "Welcome home, here are your walking papers." In response, OP confirmed that his wife is completely under the delusion that she is returning to their marriage. She has had several conversations with their daughter and is convinced that he will understand and forgive her. Another commenter recommended that OP tell his daughter to pass along the message that he is filing for divorce due to abandonment to see if it gets any traction. Although they generally do not like the idea of involving the kids, they emphasize that the children need to support him in this. They suggested telling her that she would be cut off if she continued this behavior. The commenter also proposed that OP start posting about how his wife is living the good life and letting friends and family know what kind of situation this has put him in, as everyone probably assumes he is on board if he is not actively sharing the truth. OP responded that his wife only hears what she wants to hear. He asked her to provide an address to serve her with divorce papers, but she only replied that they would work it out when she comes home, which he strongly disagrees with. He mentioned that his daughter has tried to convey the pain she is causing, but his wife justifies her actions by saying she only has 5 to 10 years left until she develops dementia. OP questioned whether she should not be spending this time with her family, especially since it is uncertain whether she will even develop dementia. Update: November 13, 2023. Here is an update from my original post. I am feeling much more positive now that the financial situation has become a bit more manageable. Essentially, I am accruing debt that will be paid off when I sell the house. Even with legal fees, I have about 6 to 8 more months before I need to worry about money, assuming no emergencies arise. My friend's wife gave me some valuable advice. Do not go from being a hero to a villain in your kids' eyes. How I talk about and treat my wife will determine my future relationship with my children. While I no longer care about my wife, I do not want to make her a sympathetic figure or drive the kids away from both of us. I followed up with my lawyer, who said that we will have my wife repay the savings she took through a reduction in her share of the assets. Any division of assets will include the savings she took. She will also have to repay the money I spent maintaining the household while she was gone. There is plenty of equity in her share of the house and her retirement plans to cover that. The lawyer also mentioned that, after nearly 25 years of marriage, our finances are so intertwined that my wife will get some share of the assets. The best case is that she agrees to the terms of the divorce, making it relatively cheap and quick. Otherwise, it will get complicated and expensive. She gave me a lot of options and an estimate of costs, so I decided to wait and see. I obtained a couple of credit cards with promotional rates for purchases and transfers, which gives me some breathing room and allows me to conserve cash. I will pay them off when I sell the house. Now that my financial situation is less stressful, I am actually enjoying her being gone. I am free to do whatever I want, whenever I want. I do not have to cook, clean, or take care of anyone. The house is quiet for the first time in ages. I love my wife, but her mental health weighed down our marriage. On balance, it was worth it until now. During the first month or so, I expected her to be there whenever I got home. When someone was at the door or if I heard noises, I would think it was her. I even checked the doorbell cam obsessively. I am not looking forward to her return. It has to happen, but when she comes back, I will have to deal with her, the divorce, getting the house ready to sell, dividing all our belongings, and finding a new place to live. I hope she stays away until after New Year's, but my daughter thinks her mom will be home for Christmas, either to stay or visit. My lawyer will have papers ready to serve her. Hopefully she will agree to the terms and continue her travels. People have given some great advice. Renting or selling the house is not really feasible right now since I would need to fix some things and get it ready to sell or rent. As I need a place to live, the amount I would net each month, rent minus mortgage, minus rent on a new apartment minus storage unit, is not worth it. My kids' rooms are still full of their stuff, and I do not want to spend the time and effort to clear them out and put them in storage. Getting a HELOC was excellent advice. I did not realize I did not need both people to get a loan. If I need more money, I can go this route. In the short term, the promotional rates on the credit cards were cheaper and easier than getting a HELOC. Serving my wife divorce papers or getting a divorce in absentia is something I might need to do eventually, but the cost in legal fees increases exponentially in such cases. I am comfortable just waiting for now. I checked the phone bill to see where she is and possibly where she is going. I noticed that she does not post on social media until after she leaves a place. For example, when she posted about Hawaii, she made a call that day originating in Los Angeles. She posted about a cruise, and I figured out the dates, considering serving her at the port. But the cruise ended a couple of days before she posted. She tried adding international calling to her line, but I blocked it, so she removed her phone from our account. Relevant comments. One commenter expressed anger on behalf of the OP, criticizing the wife's audacity to say, "My husband is so great for letting me take this trip." They hoped she would be home for Thanksgiving so her world could explode. OP responded that she had told her family she would not be home for Thanksgiving, but nobody informed her that he and their daughter would be spending Thanksgiving with her family. She can see the posts of them having a good time without her. Another commenter advised OP to change the locks on the house to prevent her from waltzing back in while he is out one day. They expressed their anger for OP and mentioned that if their husband did this to them after 23 years of marriage, there would be serious consequences. OP responded that his wife left her keys, so he changed the code on the security system, the passphrase, and the password. He also found a new hiding place for the emergency key they kept in the backyard. A third commenter questioned whether the wife planned to blow through all the money, and then assume OP would take her back and care for her when dementia hits. OP confirmed that this seemed to be her plan, but it was definitely not his. Update 2, December 4th, 2023. Edit, December 4th. Nothing much has changed. I went to the in-laws with my daughter for Thanksgiving. The visit went well. Everyone was kind and tried to apologize for their daughter, sister, cousin, and niece. I told them it was not their responsibility to apologize. I just appreciated them taking us in, as it meant a lot to my daughter to be there. Edit, December 20th. I received a text from my wife saying she will be in town for Christmas. My lawyer informed me that the papers are ready so she can be served. It feels like an early Christmas gift. I posted this to my profile in case my update gets deleted. Update 3, January 28th, 2024. My wife texted me in the middle of December to say she would be home for Christmas. I informed her that our daughter and I would be at my brother's and that she was obviously not welcome. I left her car in the driveway with the key fob in the backyard. She was not allowed in the house unless I was there, as she did not have keys to get in. She ended up spending Christmas with her sister. When we returned, I met with her. I decided not to be overly confrontational because I did not want to give her the satisfaction of thinking I cared enough to be angry. She was taken aback by how detached I was, and I could tell it bothered her that I did not show much emotion, not even anger. My main goal was for her to agree to a divorce. This summary covers several different meetings, both with and without our daughter, who has not yet wanted to meet with her mom alone. I asked why she left without telling anyone. She said she did not want to wait a year, she did not want anyone talking her out of it. She did not want to work anymore, and she wanted to leave before her mental health got worse. I am sure it was mostly because she did not want me to stop her from taking the money. She knew I would take care of everything with the kids and house when she left. We had decided to go in the summer of 2024 for a few reasons. Packing everything and getting the house ready to sell was going to be a lot of work. We wanted to make sure our daughter graduated college, got a job, and was settled. We wanted to make sure we had money when we got back. We wouldn't have a house, cars, or jobs, so we needed money because it could take months to find work and a place to live. We didn't want to have any worries or deal with a mess back home. At some point in our planning, she began questioning if she ever wanted to go back to our old life. She did not want to work full-time or buy a house and stay in one place after we returned. She was unsure of what she wanted, but she did not think she would figure it out by talking to me. I told her that the reason for taking the trip was to figure those things out together, to see what we wanted for the next part of our lives. I asked her why she did not just get a divorce before she left. Then she would not have had to do this behind our backs, and she would have had plenty of money without stealing our joint savings. She claimed that she did not want a divorce and that she wanted us to live whatever life she figured out. I told her that is not how marriages work, with one person deciding for the other. In talking and texting with our daughter, her family, and through my texts and voicemails, she realized I might not forgive her. She was right about that, so she might have to visualize a future without me. This is where I had hoped she would say some stupid shit like she was going to squander all her money living in a van and make travel vlogs, or she met some guy that she needed to wire money to so they could open an ice cream shop in Alaska. Instead, she wants to be a digital nomad, working part-time, fully remote, and living in new places. She tried to convince me to go with her, but I'll never be able to trust her, plus I don't love her anymore. Traveling like that for a few years doesn't sound bad, but she doesn't have a job or any work lined up. She's not in her 20s, and that way of living will get old quick. No close friends, no family. I want her to make it work so she won't be here trying to get back in our lives. How are the kids doing? Our son would not have seen us the entire time she was gone anyway. He only responds to her with very short texts. He told me she wanted to see him, but he said he was too busy and would not be able to get away. Since he lives in the barracks, it is an easy excuse to avoid her. My daughter has stopped talking and texting her. She is quite upset. Her worry turned to anger when she realized her mom was not having a mental breakdown, but was just being selfish. If her mom were sticking around, they could probably work through it eventually. I just care that my daughter is happy, so whatever she decides, I will support. Did she spend all the money? She spent about half. I think she realized she needed to figure things out before she completely ran out of money. Did she sleep with anyone? I did not ask because I did not care. Asking would imply I wanted her back or that it mattered. Even though I did not ask, she claims she did not. But I am not sure if she is lying. She might just be saying that because she does not want the kids to have another reason to be mad at her. Does she feel bad for what she put us through? She claims she does and wishes she had handled it differently. She said getting away and figuring herself out was best for her. She believes her siblings and our children will allow her to live with them, similar to how we let her mom live with us. I am sure when she imagines her future, she sees our kids being there for her. But that might not happen, at least not in the same way as before. Although it might sound surprising, I am actually quite happy with how things have turned out. Our divorce is far from final, but we have agreed on the major points. We will sell the house, divide the retirement funds and house profits, and repay the money she took as well as what I spent maintaining the household. I got most of what I wanted from the settlement, and she will soon be mostly out of my life. I will not have to pay alimony, and since she has chosen to make significantly less money than before, I will not be forced to support her. That would have been a real blow. She is no longer my responsibility, and I will not have to care for her if she gets sick or goes broke. I have decided to start dating again. I did not realize that a 50-year-old man with grown children, a good job, and in decent shape would be considered a catch. While I am not overwhelmed with attention, I have received more interest than I expected. It has been nice meeting new women. I have worked out the finances and will be doing well after everything is settled, only having to support myself. This is not where I wanted to be at 50, getting divorced, and using Reddit as a form of free therapy. However, I am happier now than I have been in a while. I am even planning a little vacation of my own. P.S. Thank you to everyone who has responded and reached out. It meant a lot. Many commenters have shared their thoughts and advice. One commenter mentioned that they had been thinking of me regularly, especially over Christmas. They expressed relief that I have sorted things out and found happiness. They called my ex-wife selfish and an idiot, predicting that she will eventually realize she made a huge mistake and lost the people closest to her. They wished me luck with dating, and suggested sticking to women aged 35 and older, hoping I have a very happy and loving future. In response, OP noted that many women in that age group either have young kids, or are looking to have kids soon. While there is nothing wrong with that, I have already raised my children. Another commenter complimented me saying, "Sir, you are a catch," and advised not to date anyone under 30. They toasted to a new life. OP replied by mentioning that I have recently gotten everyone out of the house and am not interested in dating anyone who has young kids or wants kids. I also added that it would not matter if they did, as I had taken care of that a while back.
Adoptive parents kicked me out at 17 for getting pregnant and refusing to keep my baby. 20 years later, their biological son reached out to me. When I was 17, my adoptive parents kicked me out and disowned me because I got pregnant and refused to give them my baby. 2 decades later, their biological son found me on Facebook and reached out. I was just 4 years old when I lost my parents in a tragic car accident. I don't remember much about the crash itself, just that one moment I was in the back seat and the next time I opened my eyes, I was in a hospital. Waking up to a world of nurses and doctors was terrifying for me as a child. I remember a CPS worker sitting beside me, explaining that my parents had died and I would need to stay with another family for a while. It was also confusing and overwhelming. After that, I went through a series of foster homes, none of which ever felt like home. When I was 5, I was finally placed with Lorraine and James, who had been eager to have a child of their own. From the start, I felt their warmth and genuine care. They welcomed me into their home without hesitation, filling the emptiness I had felt from losing my own family. It seemed like, after all the tragedy, I had finally found a second family. However, as soon as I moved in, I noticed that James was very strict and disciplined, while Lorraine seemed to always follow his lead. I later learned that James's strictness was due to his background as an Army veteran who had been injured in action. His military experiences explained his obsession with meticulous planning and order. Understanding this didn't make it any easier when he would get angry over small things, like being a minute late for church. His strictness often left me feeling anxious and like I had to walk on eggshells around him. Lorraine, on the other hand, was more laid back but also drank a lot when James wasn't around. I watched her finish entire bottles of wine by herself, and she always seemed lost in her thoughts. She rarely asked about my school or homework, and aside from drinking, her main activities were cooking and cleaning because James was very particular about that. At first, things were smooth and I didn't witness many conflicts between them, but as I grew older, I began to see James's true nature. He was abusive. For James, my academic performance was everything. He constantly pressured me to improve, and if anyone outperformed me, he would get enraged. Even the slightest dip in my grades would result in him hitting me and calling me stupid. He frequently threatened to send me back to the orphanage if my marks didn't meet his expectations. As a child, I didn't realize this threat was empty, and it terrified me each time he mentioned it. I worked tirelessly to avoid being sent back. I also observed Lorraine and James having arguments, which would end with James dragging her into their bedroom. She would emerge with bruises on her hands and face. At first, I didn't understand what was happening, but it soon became clear that he was physically abusing her. To keep me from witnessing his violence, he would isolate Lorraine. I couldn't understand why Lorraine never called the police. After their fights, she would just sit and cry for hours, while James would drink beer and watch TV. Realizing James's abusive nature made me fear being alone with him or doing anything that might upset him. But as anyone who has lived in an abusive environment knows, abusers will find any excuse to lash out. No matter how careful I was or how hard I tried to avoid provoking him, he always found a reason to be angry. Initially, it was all about my grades, but as I grew older, his focus shifted. It wasn't just about academics anymore. He criticized everything. From the clothes I wore to the friends I chose and even any romantic interests I had. He insisted I come straight home from school, claiming that spending time with friends was a distraction and that they would amount to nothing. According to him, I needed to keep my focus solely on my studies. Unbeknownst to James, Lorraine discreetly allowed me to spend an hour with my friends after school. Knowing that James wouldn't return until later in the evening, she saw it as a small chance for me to enjoy some normalcy and social interaction beyond the tense atmosphere at home. These brief moments away from the constant pressure and scrutiny were precious to me, and I valued the time spent with my friends, even if it was short-lived. Lorraine's quiet act of kindness meant a great deal to me. However, things took a turn for the worse when James lost his job. The job loss seemed to heighten his frustration and anger, worsening the already abusive environment at home. With the added strain of financial instability, James became even more unpredictable and volatile, lashing out over the smallest things. I recall one night when Lorraine had just finished making dinner. As James sat down and glanced at the meal, he erupted into a furious rant about how it didn't meet his standards. He began yelling and slamming the table, berating her and threatening to throw her out if she couldn't cook properly. In his rage, he threw his plate against the wall, leaving Lorraine and me in a state of fear as we watched him. I could feel my whole body trembling. When I finally ate the food, I found nothing wrong with Lorraine's cooking. Over time, James's drinking worsened. With his unemployment and idle days, beer cans accumulated in the living room each morning, which Lorraine had to clean up. I also found myself unable to spend time with my friends, as James would harshly criticize me if I was even a minute late coming home from school. At 15, a classmate named Harry confessed his feelings for me and asked me out on a date. Despite my anxiety over James finding out, I was eager to experience a date and explore my feelings as a teenager. So, despite my worries, I agreed to go out with Harry. We met at a local coffee shop after school and spent the afternoon chatting and getting to know each other. That date turned out to be one of the best decisions of my life, as it marked the beginning of our love story. Harry was everything James was not, gentle and kind to everyone, including animals. He would bring me my favorite flowers whenever he could, saving up his pocket money to do so. Having never had a good role model, I didn't expect much, but Harry treated me with the care and respect I had always wanted. James was always a bit suspicious and would question me about whether I was spending time with any boys. I would deny it, silently hoping he wouldn't uncover the truth. Fortunately, not having a phone meant there were no incriminating texts he could discover. Harry and I took great care to keep our relationship private, even avoiding telling our friends to prevent any gossip. Harry understood my fear of James and was willing to keep our relationship a secret. When prom approached, Harry and I decided to attend with our group of friends to avoid drawing any unwanted attention. However, when James learned of my plans to go to prom, he outright forbade it. He dismissed it as a waste of time and refused to buy me a dress. I didn't really care about the dress. I just wanted to enjoy the evening with my friends. I begged him to let me go, reminding him of my good grades and how I had met his expectations. He scolded me, belittling my friendships and insisting that prom was insignificant. Lorraine disagreed and argued with James, believing there was no reason for me to stay home while my peers enjoyed themselves. James insisted that teenagers lacked a sense of right and wrong and that he wouldn't allow me to go out simply to have fun when I could stay home and be safe. Despite my pleas and attempts to explain how important this event was to me, he remained resolute, dismissing my feelings as trivial. He even threatened to lock me out if I tried to sneak out for prom. On the night of the dance, I was the only one who stayed behind. spending the evening crying alone in my room. I was growing increasingly weary of living with James. After high school, it became even harder to see Harry since I wasn't allowed out and didn't have a phone. I asked James for a phone, but he insisted I didn't need one at my age. I argued that I'd be going to college and that everyone had a phone, but he said I'd have to buy one myself if I wanted it. That's when I decided to get a part-time job. Though the pay was modest, it allowed me to earn some money and gain a bit of independence. It also meant I could spend time with Harry without James finding out, using work as an excuse while I met up with him. Eventually, I received the incredible news that I had been accepted into an Ivy League university with a full scholarship. This was a significant accomplishment, as no one from my town had ever achieved it before. James took it upon himself to brag about my success to anyone who would listen, proclaiming how proud he was of me. Despite his constant boasting, he never actually congratulated me personally, instead acting as though my achievement was a reflection of his own success. After receiving my college acceptance, I felt an enormous sense of relief. At last, James had nothing to complain about, as I had fulfilled his greatest dream by securing a spot in a prestigious college with a scholarship. With my job and academic success, he couldn't label me as lazy anymore. His newfound satisfaction led him to agree to buy me a phone and allowed me to use the money I earned from work for college expenses. He even permitted me to hang out with my friends after work. For the first time, I felt like I could enjoy life a bit, just like everyone else. Harry and I knew we'd be separated when we went to college, but we promised to meet up whenever we could. Our intimacy was careful and limited, with both of us taking precautions. A couple of weeks later, I began experiencing unusual symptoms that resembled those of my period, but without actually having it. Being perceptive, I sensed something was wrong with my body, and I found myself craving food at odd hours. Panicking, I told Harry that I needed to take a pregnancy test, and he agreed. I took 3 tests, all of which came back positive. The shock was overwhelming, and I collapsed on the floor, crying uncontrollably. It felt like I was living through one of my worst nightmares. Harry tried to comfort me, but I was trembling with fear. I knew that if James discovered I was pregnant, especially right before college, he would react with unimaginable anger. Harry reassured me that the decision was entirely mine and that he would support me no matter what. He suggested talking to his parents first and then approaching James together to prevent any violent reactions. Given my difficult home situation, Harry was genuinely concerned for my safety. His parents were incredibly understanding. His mother embraced me and comforted me, saying that such things happen to many people and not to worry too much. They agreed to come to my place to help break the news to James. When Lorraine and James were informed of the pregnancy, they were utterly shocked. Lorraine asked me twice if I was certain, and I confirmed with the results from multiple tests. James, however, erupted in anger, accusing me of being a product of his reluctance to adopt children from strangers, citing their unpredictable nature. He hurled a barrage of insults at me, claiming I had ruined my life. Harry's parents tried to calm James down, but he directed his fury at them, blaming them for the situation and appearing ready to physically confront Harry, who sat quietly in the corner. Overcome with emotion, I started crying and told James that I wasn't planning to keep the baby, so he had nothing to worry about. I assured him that everything could return to normal, and I would still go to college as planned. At that point, Lorraine asked to speak with James privately. They left the room while I sat there, crying and anxiously fidgeting. Harry's parents looked at me with sympathy. When Lorraine and James returned, Lorraine's words struck me like a tidal wave. She proposed that we didn't necessarily have to give up the baby, suggesting that I could carry the pregnancy to term and then transfer my parental rights to them. I sat there in stunned silence as Lorraine stressed that the child was a gift from God and urged us not to consider other options. James supported Lorraine's view, suggesting that this arrangement would be ideal, especially since Lorraine was already pregnant herself. His words left me completely bewildered, and I struggled to grasp what he was proposing. James revealed that Lorraine had only recently discovered her pregnancy and had kept it private while processing the news. With my own pregnancy, they now saw an opportunity to raise both children together as siblings. The shock of their suggestion left me speechless, grappling with the gravity of their proposal and the unexpected turn of events. Harry's parents were equally stunned and quickly expressed their disapproval. However, James interrupted, asserting that the decision was not theirs to make, and looked at me expectantly, waiting for my response. Overwhelmed with anxiety, I knew deep down that I couldn't agree to Lorraine and James's proposal. The idea of giving up my child to be raised in an environment reminiscent of my own troubled upbringing was unbearable. Although Lorraine had shown herself to be a caring mother in many ways, I couldn't ignore the fact that she couldn't shield herself from James's behavior, let alone ensure my child's safety. The thought of subjecting my unborn child to the same uncertainty and potential danger was unacceptable. While I cherished the thought of becoming a mother one day, I knew the timing and circumstances were far from ideal. I couldn't bring a child into the world under these conditions, knowing I couldn't guarantee their safety and well-being. I firmly told James that, although I was glad to be gaining a sibling soon, I couldn't proceed with the pregnancy. I was neither mentally nor physically strong enough to handle it. The idea of watching my child grow up with Lorraine and James, while pretending they were just a sibling, was inconceivable. Living a lie and denying my child the truth about their parentage was something I simply couldn't endure. When I shared my decision, Lorraine broke down in tears, expressing her disappointment that I couldn't do this for her despite all the sacrifices she had made for me. James, visibly enraged, got up and began pacing the room. I tried to explain my stance, but they refused to understand. Harry's mother stepped in, supporting my choice and offering to arrange an appointment with a gynecologist to move forward with the procedure. Lorraine's crying intensified, and James started shouting, asking if I was satisfied now that I was causing her so much pain. He then demanded that I pack my things and leave the house. My shock was palpable as James declared he was fed up with me, accusing me of being ungrateful and selfish for not giving them my child. Harry's parents gently urged me to pack up quickly, clearly troubled by James's volatile behavior. I hurried upstairs to gather my important documents, photo albums, and as many clothes as I could. When I came back downstairs, James warned me to take whatever I could carry because he planned to throw out and burn the rest of my belongings the next day. I tried to speak with Lorraine, but she wouldn't even look at me. As I left, James told me I should never come back. I was bewildered and heartbroken, unable to understand what I had done to warrant such ruthless rejection. Harry and his parents generously offered me a place to stay, and I returned to their home. The following days were a blur as they took me to the gynecologist, where we scheduled the necessary procedure. It was a difficult decision for both me and Harry, but given the circumstances, we knew it was the best choice for our future. After the procedure, I spent a few days recovering with Harry by my side, offering unwavering support. He and his parents were incredibly kind and did everything they could to help me through this challenging time. Throughout this ordeal, James and Lorraine never reached out to me. When the day came for me to move into college, I texted James, hoping he might have forgiven me by then. Instead, he responded with harsh words, calling me a failure and a disappointment and accusing me of turning into a prostitute. He said he didn't want his biological child to end up like me. His cruel message cut me deeply, and I cried for hours. They had been the only parents I knew, and now, with their own children on the way, they had severed ties with me. My college years were challenging but ultimately rewarding. I juggled a part-time job with my studies, working hard to maintain my grades. It was tough, but I was determined to succeed. Fortunately, Harry kept his promise and supported me throughout. He would visit me at college whenever he could, and his constant encouragement helped me through the rough patches. During holidays, his parents often invited me to spend time with them, and they began to feel like family to me. I graduated with honors, achieving the distinction of KL, and Harry and his parents were there to celebrate my graduation. I secured a good job in my field, and it was a proud moment knowing all my hard work had paid off. Harry and I eventually moved in together, and our relationship grew stronger with time. We supported each other through life's ups and downs, and after several years, we decided to get married. Our wedding was a beautiful celebration of our love and commitment, surrounded by our closest friends and family. I didn't even consider inviting James and Lorraine to the wedding. As a married couple, Harry and I have continued to build our life together. Recently, we took a significant step by buying a new house and renting out our old one. Our new home has become a cozy haven where we create new memories and plan for the future. We bought the new place to be closer to Harry's aging parents, who have become like family to me as well. I want to be there for them in any way I can. It's been almost 20 years since James and Lorraine kicked me out, and I barely remember them now. Over the years, I haven't dwelled on them much, though I do recall spending my first year of college grieving their absence. By my second year, I resolved to forge a new life for myself, free from their rejection. It was painful, and building this life on my own took immense strength. They've never reached out to me, and I haven't felt the need to check in on them either. Throughout these years, Harry has been my steadfast companion and partner in every sense. Although we never had children, our two beloved dogs have brought us immense joy. We visit Harry's parents every other weekend and frequently enjoy trips and discovering new restaurants together. Looking back, I feel that my life has turned out well, and I wish I could embrace my 17-year-old self and reassure her about her future. Recently, I received a friend request on Facebook from someone named Matt with a surname that seemed familiar. When I checked his profile, I was taken aback by how much he resembled James. I accepted his request and he sent me a greeting. I replied, and he soon asked if I knew anyone named James and Lorraine. My heart raced as I realized he was their son. Nervous yet determined to be honest, I confirmed that I knew them since they had adopted me when I was 5. Matt expressed a strong desire to talk if I was comfortable, so I agreed and gave him my number. When he called, the conversation started off awkwardly, but Matt soon shared that he had always known about a child his parents had before him because he had seen my pictures in the family photo album. Whenever he asked about it, his parents would dodge the question. He had been searching for me for a long time, having learned my name from our hometown, and he had recently stumbled upon my profile by chance. His sole reason for reaching out was to uncover the truth. As I recounted the painful events of my past, including how his parents had asked me to give up my child and then expelled me when I refused, I could feel the weight of the emotions. I described their absence from my life over the years and how I had managed to cope thanks to the support of my husband's parents. The conversation was emotionally charged, and I revealed long-buried feelings. Matt's voice conveyed shock and disbelief as he absorbed my account. After a period of silence, he told me he had no idea his parents had treated me so cruelly. He had always believed their story that I had left on my own accord. He thanked me sincerely for my honesty and apologized on behalf of his parents, expressing regret for the pain they had caused me. Since our conversation, I felt grateful for Matt's effort to reach out and his understanding, which has brought me some comfort and validation. However, I worry about how James and Lorraine will react when they learn that I've shared the truth with Matt. Did I make the right choice in revealing everything, or would it have been better to keep silent? Update 1. I wanted to share that my initial concerns were valid. Within just 24 hours of Matt reaching out to me, Lorraine and James began bombarding me with calls and texts. Since I've kept the same number all these years, it was relatively easy for them to find me. Their messages have been filled with anger and accusations, mostly centered around why I disclosed family secrets to Matt. James's message, in particular, was harsh, insisting I should have kept quiet as I had for years and not interfered between him and his son. Overwhelmed and unsure of how to handle the situation, I've been dodging their calls and messages, uncertain of the best way to address this unexpected confrontation. Update 2. I informed Harry about the situation. He was unaware of Matt's outreach and, upon learning that I had shared our past, he felt I shouldn't have done so. His concern wasn't about the truth being wrong but rather that James was clearly unstable and that this revelation would only stir up unnecessary drama in our lives. I also spoke with Matt, who told me he confronted James and Lorraine after our discussion. They attempted to deny everything, labeling me as a liar and accusing me of using them until I could escape to college. Despite their claims, Matt didn't believe them and told them to stay away from his family. He also informed them he would be cutting them off financially. Matt revealed that he and his wife had recently adopted twins, but James and Lorraine had refused to visit them, which had made Matt question their behavior. After learning about my past, Matt understood why they might have been unhappy with his adoption. He assured me he would ask them to leave us alone and extended an invitation for me to visit his twins whenever I could. He expressed a desire to get to know me better, given our sibling connection. I'm touched by his kindness and might take him up on his offer to visit his family with Harry. Update 3. It's been 7 months since my last update, and for those asking, here's what's new. I decided to block James and Lorraine from all communication channels, which has stopped their threatening messages. Matt intervened and spoke to them, so they had no choice but to back off. Harry and I have visited Matt and his wife at least 4 times over the past few months. Each visit has been warm and welcoming, and we've spent hours reconnecting, sharing stories, and bonding over our childhoods. I've also had the joy of spending time with Matt's twins, who are delightful. I'm deeply grateful that Matt reached out, and the connection with him and his family has been a source of healing and joy for me.